Closing in on the handful of races that remain in this season, the fight for the championship continues up north to Long Pond, Pennsylvania, and the Tricky Triangle, where the round of 12 comes to a close, and where we welcome you to coverage of the Tricky Triangle 200 for the Sunoco Cup Series playoffs. 8 drivers will make their way forward after tonight, and 4 will see their championship dreams cut short. We're happy to have you on our coverage on Podium Esports. We're alongside DJ Clark in the booth. My name is Kenneth Bueno. Ryan Bauer, our producer, all night long. He's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Well, DJ, this is the first time that we see Pocono this season, and it is an elimination race. We took 4 drivers out of playoff contention roughly 2 weeks ago at Atlanta. Now we get to do the same thing all over again. Elimination context. 4 drivers not going to be able to advance. Then what a track we have to set the stage.
Oh, when you talk about drama, when you talk about excitement, it doesn't come bigger and better than the Tricky Triangle itself, Pocono. It's a very, very difficult circuit around here. To use the old adage, it's an oval that often races like a road course. Kenneth, I think strategy's going to come into play today. I think we're going to see some elbows out running from a few of these drivers, but all in all, we are in store for an excellent race.
And this track certainly provides a lot for those that have to take it behind the wheel and bring these cars to an entire lap, let alone the 80 that we'll have this evening. And of course, in the context of the Sunoco Cup Series playoffs, we're only a handful of races away from the championship finale at Homestead of Miami Speedway. DJ, look at the 2023 schedule. We just checked off Texas Motor Speedway last week. That one went to Lawson Peel, who's already onwards to the next round. But here at Pocono, I mean, such an oddball track in the middle of mostly regular tracks that we've seen so far throughout the postseason.
Yeah, very much so, but look at the disparity of different styles of tracks that we're going to here in these last couple of rounds. We came from Texas last week, a traditional sort of quad oval design, Pocono, which is utterly unique in the running, then to Richmond, and then working our way down to Homestead. I think this is a fantastic way to decide who's going to finish out this season.
And here's a look at the playoff grid, the drivers that are at risk of being eliminated tonight. Now, Zach Wilson is not here tonight. He is not eligible for the race, so he will automatically be eliminated, unfortunately, from the playoffs. But you look at the 3 drivers that sit below the cut line. Rookie Aaron Adcock, the winner at Talladega, to get him into the playoffs earlier this season. Gary Sexton, who surprisingly had one of the best starts to the playoffs we've seen, somehow all the way back down here. Curtis Kelly in the 71 for Fast Banana. Despite some of the strength that he posed early on in that Texas race, he's fallen back to the cusp, but where he could end up being eliminated, DJ. And obviously, each round is going to get harder. You have less and less drivers fighting for those spots. Points are going to be so crucial here at a track like Pocono, where you're going to have these stage points. You're going to have this interesting race develop, probably down to strategy. You're going to have to think about that if you're any one of those drivers below the cut line, or even some of those above who are not quite safe just yet.
Very, very much so. There's going to be a lot of mental gymnastics going on behind the scenes, drivers thinking about those numbers. And I think whereas previously in the Sunoco Cup Series, we've seen relatively processional runs to the end of those stage breaks, I think that could go out the window here today. I think you could see some real fights coming down to those stages.
And when you've got a big track like this, you've got a lot of draft involved, you're probably going to have some chaos along the way. Lawson Peel, the winner, by the way, of the last race at Texas. He's onward to the round, and we'll see exactly how he handles tonight. But let's talk to one of the drivers who is below the cut line, and that is rookie Aaron Adcock. Of course, Aaron, thank you so much for joining us on Podium Esports before the start of tonight's Tricky Triangle 200. You find yourself in a position right below Steven Stempian by roughly a couple of points or so to get into the next round. What are the challenges that you have to face in this race, specifically if you want to move on for a championship?
I appreciate the opportunity to talk to y'all first thing. And yeah, just I have to keep the car clean. Got to put it in the right spot and make the right decisions whenever moments get a little tense, or if the racing gets a little tight. Like you said, it is a drafty track on these long straightaways on the backstretch. Just gonna have to take it easy in the tunnel turn, make sure that I make the right decisions there. And you know, depending on what part of the race it is, it might not need to try to push it too wide going through there, and just be in contention at the end. I really need to focus on stage points and stage racing tonight to try to help get a few bonus points to help not be so close on the bubble, you know, if I do have a bad race. But yeah, looking forward to this. Didn't expect to make it this far in the playoffs, so I'm proud of myself. And hopefully tonight I'll be able to get this American Grid Apparel Chevrolet into the playoffs, into the top 8.
You certainly proved your strength over these 2023 playoffs so far, and you gave us a hint about what it's like to drive behind the wheel here at Pocono and some of the things that you're taking into mind. How tactical do you have to be throughout the race where you're thinking, like you just said, I don't want to take it too wide, or I don't want to push this issue, I don't want to take it here, you know, the position. How tactful do you have to be in races like these as opposed to maybe a typical oval like last week at Texas?
Yeah, you gotta be careful. You know, it's kind of like a plate track in some ways, where you feel like you got plenty of room to do a lot of things, but you know, if it's almost kind of like a short track too, to where if you throttle up too early, tires are too cold, you got an opportunity to loop it and get a little loose coming off the corner exit. Just you can't get antsy and over anticipate getting on the throttle and getting off the corner. The runs are going to come big, kind of like Atlanta. You know, you get to going down the back stretch or the front stretch and getting ready to go into the corners. There's a lot of braking here. You know, getting in the corners, especially one. So yeah, it's just, you gotta situational awareness, be cautious of who's around you and where you are on the track, and just make sure that you're capable of going in that corner and being able to get out of that corner at the same rate of speed.
Final question, Aaron, before we let you get set for qualifying. This is a big track. Pocono's a triangle, such an oddball compared to a lot of the others that we've seen in this schedule. How chaotic are you seeing this race play out, especially late in the going?
Oh, well, last week I didn't have a very good time on the restarts, and from my experience at this track, the restarts are never the best part of the racing anyway. So if we can get through the restarts and kind of spread out and settle down a little bit, and hopefully maintain track position, I feel like things will be pretty good. Just, you know, I know we'll have 2 stage breaks tonight, so that's at least 2 restarts right there. So if we can make it through that and keep the car clean, I feel like we got a good opportunity to make it close. So going up against a lot of stiff competition, and just, you know, I'm only gonna be able to do what I can do. So hopefully that'll make it to the top 8.
Planning to survive in advance, a good mindset to have as you move forward in these 2023 playoffs. Aaron, we certainly appreciate the time. Best of luck here from Pocono. We'll let you get set for qualifying in a couple of moments.
Thank you guys, appreciate it. Hey, what turn 4?
There we go. Hey, we have somebody on the 3-turn gang. I've heard so many people say there's 5-6 turns at Pocono. Probably should have asked you that. I think that was the first question.
My teammate Chuck Phelps, he swears it's a 6-turn track. So
we'll have to prove him wrong tonight. That's what we have to do.
Truck, it's right, 3 turns.
All right, Aaron, we certainly appreciate the time. Best of luck this evening.
Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
That's Aaron Adcock, driver of the 23. I have somebody on my side, DJ. That's good news. We'll bring in the other driver that's also somewhat close to playoff elimination, but is a little more safe, and that is the driver of the 16, Garrett Brown. Now, Garrett, you find yourself in the smack dab middle of the round of 12 group. P6 is where you're standing, and the point standings a little bit higher than that cut line, but not quite there to be all the way at the top. What's your approach going into this race from Pocono?
I think this race I'm going to try to keep myself clean. I know there can be a lot of issues at Pocono, especially in turn 1 and the tunnel turn. Turns 1, 2, and it can just be a mess there. So I'm just trying to get through there and really trying to learn the track early, see how it's going to feel in these cars. Just about survival at this point, and see if I need to turn it on in the final stage. I'm just going to try to survive the first 2 stages, and then if I've got to try to crank it up, maybe have that in the last stage.
And it looks like survival seems to be the biggest word that everyone's using to try and get through this race at Pocono. And you talked about it, the different types of corners, the difficulty of getting through them, and this track as big as it is. Do you find that protecting track position is going to be the priority and probably the most difficult thing to have, or is there something else looming on the horizon that you're trying to keep an eye out for?
No, I think protecting track position is just about the hardest thing here, because how much different the corners are lends to people driving them very different. And if you slip up for just a second, you can get shifted out of the groove, and that can be 5 spots right there. So I think you're pretty on point there, Kenneth. The track position is hard to keep, and that's got to be a priority, I think, for most people. for me, I might sacrifice it early just for safety. But we'll see. I'm not going to be afraid to make a run if it feels safe and it seems like people are kind of smoothing things out and there's not a lot of trouble on the horizon. So.
All right, just trying to keep it safe. Make sure you make a smooth advance into the next round. Final question before we let you get for qualifying. How many turns does Pocono have?
3.
Okay,
4?
there we go. We've had a lot of people say different answers. Aaron had 3. You've got 3. So I'm glad everyone's on the same page there. We certainly appreciate the time. Best of luck in qualifying. And, of course, best of luck in tonight's race from the Tricky Triangle.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
All right, that's Garrett Brown, driver of the number 16 Ford Mustang for Prestige Worldwide Racing. And you mentioned the situation he's in, right in the middle of the top 12, DJ. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch and what he does tonight. Let's take a look at Pocono Raceway, DJ. Again, we talk about it, so different from a lot of the other venues, and it's a lot of fun to drive, but, you know, got a lot of difficulty too.
Yeah, it's got a lot of trickiness here. Obviously, the 3 turns we could go on for eons, how they are modeled after Trenton, Milwaukee, and Indianapolis. 14, 8, and 6 degrees of banking. But look for the main areas of consternation to be coming off of turn 1. Drivers sliding up the track a little bit, particularly as the tires begin to wear. That again, going down into turn 2, trying to go too wide through there, never the best idea in the world. And then the long run through the Milwaukee mile-style corner, nearly flat at 6 degrees banking. Very, very tricky, but very crucial to get the run down this long front straightaway.
And there's a lot of space as well, so you're thinking right off of turn 3, you can make it 3, 4, maybe 5 wide. We've seen probably 7 wide at one point. Not with the stock cars, but it is possible at a track this large. It's 2.5 miles, so we'll see exactly what happens, and that's why we have a little less number on the laps counter for tonight's race as we look at the race analysis. 80 laps that we'll have here from Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Our stages are split at 20 apiece between stages 1 and 2, and then we'll end those at lap 20 and lap 40, and then we go the final 40 laps all the way to the checkered flag at lap number 80. Of course, as always with this series, we have 3 green, white, checkered attempts if we need to go past our scheduled 80 lap distance, and we have no fast repairs. Fixed setup given to every single driver. 200 miles here from Pocono is a little arduous, is a little difficult, but no doubt these drivers are going to try their best to get to the very end. We've seen survival to be the main point that's been tossed out by all of the drivers, and probably a lot of it's going to come down to where they start, DJ, how aggressive or how safe they want to be. You look at drivers already on track for qualifying. Here's the number 18 of Parker Bland. That beautiful UPS car never gets old as Parker sails in into turn 1.
Yep, gonna try to be able to do there, and you can see him kind of sawing at the wheel there a little bit. That's gonna be a lot of what we see coming out of turn 1, trying to get that grip level underneath them as they go, trying to be able to keep everything together. Now into the tunnel turn. A little bit of a flick down there, maybe breathing the throttle a little bit. Let's see, looks like a little bit of a wiggle, but kept it together.
An 18 car on their second lap already, so the 18 put up a time good enough for P2, but now drops to 7th. She comes out of the final corner. We'll see exactly what the 18 can slap down, but Mario Miranda looks like tops the board already. 54, 171. Now, DJ, we've mentioned on and on the ovals about how qualifying is set as a driver. You want to take the higher line coming off the corner, get as much momentum as possible, and then go for the last lap, the second lap, all out, and then run the preferred racing line. Here at Pocono, how different is it, and in what way do you have to attack the out lap coming to your first lap in qualifying?
Well, because this is such a long trap, there is, speaking of attacking, Mario Miranda getting a little bit sideways coming out of turn 3. But because this is such a long lap, by the time you bring the car back around here, you're basically up to full chat already. You're able to be at full speed, so you've got to be going at it right when those tires are in full grip mode, full attack mode, and full ready to go. So you can't be waiting for that second lap to be your banker.
Here's Curtis Kelly, driver of the 71, who we saw do pretty well at Texas to begin the race, was on an alternate strategy. Things looked like it was going to be on the up for him, and he came home all the way back in 23rd. That race did not go his way, and near the end at Texas Motor Speedway, which is why he finds himself 11 points out of the entrance into the round of 8. So he's below the cut line, right above Zach Wilson, who he doesn't have to worry about, not in this race this evening, but he's got to worry about Gary Sexton and Aaron Adcock. That first lap for driver number 71 is going to be good enough for 8th. We'll see what he can do the second time around, as here is another playoff driver, 1 point above that cut line bubble. Wyatt Brackett in the 30, DJ.
Yeah, he's going to be bringing it on down through here. Looks like he's going to be done and dusted, so that's his laps done as we ride on board one of the sheriffstrafe.com machines. That's Jesse Whittington taking a little bit of a higher line through turn 1. Not altogether surprising. You sometimes do that if you want to roll a little bit more momentum. It's not the shortest distance from point A to point B, but you keep that minimum speed up a little bit better.
And you look at Whittington coming out of turn number 2. Heading into turn number 3, so this will be across of the line, lap number 1, and then taking lap number 2. So the 94 will put down a first time. You see him getting into the outside and then darting into that yellow line all the way at the bottom. And Whittington's going to come out of the corner. Also, a welcome back to Whittington. He was not here last week at Texas Motor Speedway racing in the series, so nice to see the 94 back in action. First lap, 54.838, so not quite as fast as some of the leaders, but of course, first lap is always the warm-up. Second lap is always better. And DJ, it's nice to see the sheriffstrafe.com Chevrolet back in action. I think we missed them a little bit at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, I think we did as well. A little bit, certainly missing them out a little bit. Whittington going to be bringing that car around here at this point, trying to be able to get some good speed, some good times as they go from there. Good line there out of the corner. Lining up here for the ever-crucial turn 3.
Turn 3 is so long here, DJ. It feels never-ending. Feels like you're going so long in turn 3 before you finally get to that exit, and you're trying to plant the throttle as much as you can. Look at the wide front straightaway as he crosses the line. This lap, a little bit better, but not by much. 53.834. So actually, never mind, that will be way faster. That puts him second on the board, right behind Colin Forster. Excuse me there. So Jesse Whittington, 2 seconds on the chart, splitting playoff drivers in the top 3. As here is Dakota Wilson, driver of the 78, next on the board. And let's talk, DJ, a little more about this track, because turn 1 is a little long, but feels like an average corner. Turn 2 is so short, and then like I said, turn 3, it feels like forever to get out of it. So it's just 3 different ways you have to plant this car, 3 different ways you have to attack the corners as we look at Steven Stempien next up taking the qualifying time.
Yeah, he's going to be bringing it along here, and it really is. It's 3 completely different approaches to each and every corner. As you said, turn 1, very much like a traditional 1.5 miles or even a super speedway style circuit as you bring it around here, but 2 and 3 utterly different, and you've got to be so patient on the throttle coming through that final corner. You get on the throttle a little bit too early, and you're going to find yourself washing out into the outside wall.
I know I say it a lot, but it still feels like a 3-headed beast, right? Each and every beast you have to attack differently because they all provide a different obstacle to get through. Steven Stempien finished second here the last time we were at Pocono Raceway. It was roughly almost a year ago to the day. 364 days since the last race here at the Tricky Triangle in the Sunoco Cup Series, July 24th, 2022. Stempien did not lead any laps in that race, but he found his way to second from 5th place and 2 qualifying time. It'll be a 53.828, so that is faster than Jesse Whittington, and that will put the 81 right behind Colin Forrester.
All right, Colin, obviously holding things down here at this point. Let's see, Garrett Brown, one of the other drivers that is still yet to set a time here. Got about 2 minutes left on the clock, so he's going to be able to bring his way along here down through the tunnel turn. Little bit of a wiggle, maybe a little bit too far over to the left.
Garrett Brown putting in the qualifying time. Aaron Adcock, the other driver that we talked to pre-race, he put in his lap. That was a 54.155, so that puts the 23 machine into 19th place. His first lap was a 54.468, so Adcock with a little work to do when we get the green flag as Warren Kyle Keith crosses the start-finish line, 53.861, so that's put the 24 inside the top 5. As here is Austin Reedy, DJ, a driver that we saw poses a great threat to those up front at Texas Motor Speedway last week. He ultimately came home 7th as he fell back to the field. Little bit of redemption he's looking for tonight, although he's relatively safe in the points as Garrett Brown, at least still putting in his time. His first one, 54.520.
All right, here he comes down now through turn 2. Waiting to see more and more of this coming along. We've seen the second lap maybe be a little bit of the money lap here at this point. He's going to bring it down through the corner here at this point. Hope the car doesn't wash out too much on him. He's going to catch it underneath him, and the 16 powers to the line.
Gonna try to get to the line and see what lap he puts down. 54.203. So that'll put him 21st, right behind Isaac Mock. So both Garrett Brown and Aaron Adcock near the elimination cut line are gonna have a lot of work to do in this tricky Triangle 200. Qualifying is over. Let's take you trackside to bring you the starting lineup of tonight's round of 12 elimination race. From Long Pond, Pennsylvania, it will be Austin Reedy for Fast Banana with the fastest time at a 53.787, joined alongside by his teammate and rookie driver Colin Forrester in the number 31. Steven Stepien, who came home second last time we were here, is looking to get one spot better this evening tonight. And Jesse Whittington in the 94 on his outside to complete row number 2. Warren Kyle Keith clocks in a time good enough for the 5th position. Ross Harlow for SKM, his teammate on the outside in P6. Drivers 7th and 8th are as follows: the 14 of Austin Shoemaker and the number 20 of Justin Erb. We've got a lot of non-playoff drivers mixing it into the top 10. And speaking of the top 10, some of the final drivers to round out the top 10: Lawson Field, defending winner and defending champion, and Richard Swavely in the 32 on the outside.
Lining up in P11, it's going to be Chris Shoemaker. To his outside, it's a driver that's going to need to work his way a little bit forward tonight, the number 13 of Gary Sexton. Behind them, it's Curtis Kelly and Justin Winters in row number 7. They're going to try to have a good race here from about the mid-pack. Moving back into row 8, it's Wyatt Brackett, followed by Kevin Hurley for Spirit of Daytona Racing. Then moving back into 17th place, it's Alex Muscarella, followed by Mario Miranda. Mario having some work here to do tonight, only starting off in 18th. Aaron Adcock lines up 19th, followed by Isaac Mock to round out your top 20.
Garrett Brown only a couple of points above that cut line. He starts in 21st. Brad Fulham will be on his outside to close off row number 11. Row number 12 will feature the 3-car of James Kunkel for Nitro Motorsports and Parker Bland in the 18 for TOW Racing. Charles Phelps is 25th on the starting grid, joined alongside by Dakota Wilson in the car number 78, P26. Dustin Reeves is 27, 28. We'll go to the number 43 of Sean Kalis. Kip Easley, Travis Stevens, those last two to round out the top 30 in row number 15. Justin Miller is 31st. Ray Rogers, one of the previous winners here at Pocono back in season number 3. He is 32nd. Judd Danielson and Casey Knight in the 85 and the 84 car round out row number 17. That's your 34 car field here from Pocono. Again, we do go 80 laps, 20 and 20 is each stage break, and then we do go 40 laps all the way to the end. 3 green, white, checkered attempts, no factor pairs, and again, we go 200 miles. It's going to be a long race. Track temp is at 114 degrees, right past 2 p.m. in sim time. Air temp at around 79 with winds to the north at around 2 miles an hour. DJ, as they work through the tunnel turn for the final time, under pacing before the initial start. If you're a driver in the field as a playoff runner looking to advance into the next round, if you're not Lawson Peel, what keys do you have to keep in mind if you want to survive and move forward?
It's balancing, as we've always talked about, balancing aggression with calmness and making sure you're not going to make any silly mistakes. It's very, very easy to wash out wide here, so watch out about trying to make moves around the outside here, Kenneth. Watch out for drivers trying to be a little bit too aggressive too early on these tires. Tire wear is going to be a big story today with 114-degree tack temp, so just keeping everything in line is going to be the way to go.
A lot of drivers over the couple of weeks that have passed by in the playoffs, they mentioned Pocono is really tough just because so many drivers in the draft. Might be hard to make some passes out there. Pace car is down. Austin Reedy and Colin Forrester, the pair of playoff teammates, lead us to the green for the tricky Triangle 200. car on the wall, turn 2, all the way at the back. Casey Knighton in the 84, some troubles early. Looks like he will keep that Chevrolet pointed straight, so we will remain under green flag circumstances. Austin Reedy got pushed back to third as the 94 of Jesse Whittington. DJ wasting no time at lap number 1.
Yeah, Jesse wanted to push his way up there as much as possible. And that's the other thing we got to talk about. You may want to be up a little bit towards the front here to do a little bit of fuel saving game, trying to find that line in between about 2 and 5 here at this point. So let's see what they're able to do. Ooh, a little bit of fanning out coming down the back stretches. Here comes Whittington with a move.
Saw the 31 get loose out of turn 1, but he's going to keep his nose there for the tunnel turn, and he'll get the door shut by Whittington. So the sheriffshape.com Chevrolet in clean air early on. Stempian in the 81 looking on the inside of Austin Reedy for the 3rd place position. They've got Ross Harlow right behind them in that tussle for the spot as you look on board with Whittington, who is a non-playoff driver, but he doesn't care who's in front or behind him. He's going to race them as hard as he will anyone else. And here comes Forrester with a charge on the outside. Help from his teammate. Back to turn 1.
Yeah, and that's where everybody got to remember this is a super speedway. We're going to see a little bit of that bump draft playing out here as they go side by side down through the corner. Forrester and Whittington trying to sort themselves out. Reedy holding in behind. We ride on board with Ross Harlow. You see already cars starting to drift up into that outside safer barrier.
And they are washing up, and when you're in the draft, you're getting that dirty air, DJ. You slide up the track really tough. To keep that car rotated, you can easily get into the outside wall. And you mentioned about the draft, how important that's going to be, especially when you have teammates around you on the racing surface. You saw that 94 was on the inside of Forster, but to no avail. The same deal happened to Steven Stempian. Tried to get on the inside of Austin Reedy for position, dropped back because everybody on the outside had all the draft, and he had nowhere to go. He just had to settle behind Ross Harlow. And you look at the snake trailing. TJ, it's already lap number 4, and these guys are racing the snake trailing to try to sort of puncture the draft around them.
Yeah, it's a little bit of the dragon move that we see sometimes as they go. A little bit of a wider run for Whittington. He probably got on the throttle just a little bit earlier coming out of turn 1, and that's probably what got him as they go. And now the bump draft coming down into the tunnel turn. Whittington playing the good rear gunner here at this point, trying to break away a little bit maybe from Reedy and Harlow.
And you saw as well that bump to the back of the 5 by Steven Stempian, a bit violent there going into turn number 2 as the 5 car tries to dive it in on Reedy for that 3rd spot. It has to back out of it, does not get the run out of the corner, and so Reedy will hold on to it. This corner, DJ, that last one is so deceptive because it's so long, like we talked about. You're carrying a lot of speed through there, and you're trying to force as much speed out of it as you can, that you can easily wash up into the safer barrier, DJ, not only in turn 1, but in turn 3, find the same problem. You're in the middle of dirty air, trying to plant the throttle. That car's going to go way up.
Exactly. And that's going to be something that these drivers are going to have to keep in mind. A little bit of fanning out there coming down the straightaway here into the tunnel turn. That's going to be Reedy trying to make a move down to the inside of his teammate. Looks like he's going to be able to get it done. Farther back down in the field, everybody getting into single file order. I don't think you're going to see a lot of too wide there, Kenneth, coming through turn 2 unless we're coming off a restart.
Oh yeah, 100%. Or if we're getting down to the end of this race and there are drivers fighting for the win. Ross Harlow way loose out of turn 3. Looks like that might open the door up for Steven Stempian, but he's not going to take it. Indeed, he'll stay behind the 5 car, and he'll try and work with him in draft to get around some of the top 3 that have broken away. But it looks like he'll find pressure in the form of Warren, Kyle Keith, who we saw a lot of last week, DJ, at Texas Motor Speedway. He finished in the P6 position, but it looked like he had a car that was capable of winning lead through a majority of the 2nd stage. Ran up front with the leaders, was not afraid to do so, and tonight, no different.
Yeah, really starting to insert himself into the equation, and that's what you've got to be able to do here for this running. Oh, little bit of a wonky run there from Stempian coming off the tunnel turn. Almost into the back there for Warren. Kyle Keith carrying a lot of momentum and taking the high line now through 3.
He wants to get that momentum on the 81 machine, but he slaps the outside wall. Exactly what I was talking about, DJ. The problem of trying to keep the throttle in, and now he'll lose a spot.
He'll lose his spot, find himself falling down the order again. Drivers fanning out here more and more. Lawson Peel maybe losing a position there as they go, as there's a big big run there. Warren Kyle Keith trying to be able to keep that up on the outside.
You look at the 12 car make his way through to P6. We have an update that Casey Knighton in the 84 had trouble on the opening lap out of the tunnel turn. He is out of this race, so he has put that Chevrolet to the garage. Our first DNF here from Pocono Raceway as the 24 tries to hold on to his car, and the 71 puts him in the wall. Coming out of the tunnel turn, they stack up. They get multiple other drivers in it. Those are 2 playoff drivers, DJ. Most importantly, they got a piece of that. Curtis Kelly, who turned the 24. Wyatt Brackett also got the wall as well.
Yeah, them getting caught up there, and they're going to fall down through the order. One of the things here about Pocono, this is a wide circuit, so we're not going to see yellows necessarily for any little bit of minor contact. Let's take a look at the replay here at this point. Riding, as we take a look with Curtis Kelly, just got into the back there of Warren Kyle Keith. I don't think he expected the checkup.
And look at how it stacked everybody up. That 14 car, or rather that's the 4, Chris Shoemaker, bearing that Kevin Harvick paint scheme that he ran earlier this afternoon at the real-life Pocono Raceway, and then Wyatt Brackett behind all of that, who just got stuffed in the wall as a result. Now, luckily, they don't have the boilerplate wall, DJ, that they used to have here back in the 70s, which was really uncovered by Dale Jr. recently. I think a couple of days ago, just filmed the video coming out of turn 3 of that boilerplate wall that still sits there and so uneven. I think, thank goodness, that we don't have that wall at all in the sim. We have some modern, safer barriers and some walls around this track as you watch the battle building up for P4.
All right, this battle's starting to get a little bit interesting. That looks like that's going to be Harlow able to carry more speed through the beginning of the corner, but Stempian going to be able to respond back there, carrying the traditional line down to the low side. Big wiggle from a car there behind. I think that's Shoemaker, and almost contact farther back down in the field. That's Sexton involved in it.
And Aaron Adcock as well, driver of the 23 who started this race all the way back in 19th. He did make contact indeed, DJ, with the driver of the 13, Gary Sexton. So more playoff drama. Lap number 9. We're not even halfway in stage number 1.
Yeah, this is just going to keep getting more and more aggressive. Adcock now down to the inside, trying to be able to make that move. Careful to avoid contact if you can. The 23 pushing as hard as they can here at this point. A little bit of an internet blank there for Austin Reedy. That's not what these drivers want to see when you're racing this tough.
And you do not, especially as well. When cars in the wall on the inside, Aaron Adcock made contact with Isaac Mock, and the 47 slides onto the racing surface. Caution is out for the first time from Pocono, and it is a dramatic one. The 23 into the 47.
Oh, and that is not what any of these drivers wanted to have. As you said, only halfway through the first stage. Let's take a look here at exactly what happened. This is just a miscommunication to me, and it's as plain and simple as that, Kenneth.
When you're trying to have that side draft, you get a little too close. It's going to cause some consequences, and Isaac Mock just holding his own line. Obviously, nothing he could do as he's just getting side drafts. Right there, that threshold is passed, and he goes sailing into the inside wall and barely clipped the end of that right off of the pit lane, and then almost directly went into that safer barrier further down the line. And the 47 of Isaac Mock tows it to pit road. He is already 1 lap down, and no fast repair is given to any driver in this series. So the 47 having to deal with those troubles so early. And for the 23 DJ, that is really tough, because look at him, -9 on the board. Came into this race tied with Steven Stempian for that cut line position, and being at fault of that incident is not going to help.
No, it is not. Now, he should be able to get himself back out onto the track and probably able to get working again, but because this is such a high-speed circuit, he's going to have aero damage, and that's not going to be great.
Oh yeah, 100%. And how important that is, DJ, at a track this big. When you're 2.5 miles long, you have a lot of long straightaways, and a bit of damage, that's maybe a couple miles an hour. That's so crucial.
Yeah, and even just a few miles an hour, Kenneth, can absolutely spell disaster here if you are a driver. You need absolutely everything working the entire time, the entire way through.
Now, Aaron Adcock in the 23 has dropped to 21st position. He has not taken that Chevrolet onto pit road. Neither is really anyone else, as a matter of fact. I think the only ones that have are Warren Kyle Keith in the 24. We saw him sustain damage coming out of the tunnel turn. That was with the 71 of Curtis Kelly, and then the number 32 of Richard Swavely. He also brings it down to the pit lane. Looks like a couple of calls by some drivers and around the back of the field. Looks like Wyatt Brackett is going to lead those in. DJ, not surprised that he's coming in considering the damage that he picked up from that tunnel turn stack up that began with Keith and Kelly. Is going to bring a couple of more with him.
Yeah, and I think for drivers that are farther back down in the field, Kenneth, this is a good call. It's going to put you out a little bit when it comes to strategy, I think, for Stage 1 and for Stage 2, but this is going to put you off a little bit going into Stage 3, and that can give you a huge boon going forward. That can be able to certainly help you out a little bit more and maybe get you on that alternate strategy if we get a yellow that comes out at the wrong time.
And we talk about as well how important that might be for that final 40-lap dash to the finish. You get a caution in the middle, maybe early on. Some guys are going to risk making it to the end of the race barely and then taking that track position a little later. If another caution comes out, everybody pits, or at least they have to pit under strategy. Here's a look at our entire driver wall from left to right and up, down, and even through the center. All these drivers, and nice to see them having their cams on tonight so we can get their reactions as they try to handle this 2.5-mile triangle in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Colin Forrester continues to lead this race at lap number 12. Steven Stempien has found his way to second to split the two Fast Banana Camaros. Austin Reedy, the driver who started on the pole for this race, is back to third. Jesse Whittington in fourth. Ross Harlow to round out the top 5. Behind these drivers, though, DJ, is the 12 of Lawson Peel. Now, the thing about Peel is that he won last week at Texas. He has no pressure at all in this race. Maybe the fact that he doesn't have some teammates around him. Brandon Banks is not here, although he's not part of the playoffs. Maybe to have a little fun with him. But other than that, Peel is just straight up chilling. He can just have as much of a race as he wants up at the front, or he can meander at the back if possible. But history serves this 12 quite well, because last time we were here, almost a year ago, 55 laps led DJ to a win from third place. So Peel, I think, is probably keeping that in mind despite being locked in.
Yeah, exactly. And let's not forget here, Kenneth, that he doesn't need a win to advance on necessarily, but if he's able to get a win here today, that's going to be more valuable playoff points, and that's just going to put him farther and farther out of touch of other drivers when we come down into the next round of cuts.
And you look at that 12 car at the top of the cut-off battle. So, of course, winner at Texas automatically with that bid into the round of 8 at Richmond and Michigan in the following weeks. And then that cut line, that yellow line that you see between the 23 and the 71, it currently favors Adcock, who has 1 point over Curtis Kelly, that 71 car who did pick up damage early on in the race. Gary Sexton is roughly 6 points behind that cut line, then 13 for Wyatt Brackett, who just came down pit road. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, Zach Wilson is only going to continue to drop further and further on the point standings because he is not here at Pocono, so he will be eliminated. It's more so about those 3 that are beneath the cut line that we will be worrying about. So restart here, lap number 14. We'll have a bit of a quick run to the end of stage number 1 here from Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Colin Forrester, the race leader. Steven Stempien on the outside of the front row. Austin Reedy, favorable position for him. He'll be right behind his teammates, so that will matter largely going into the first corner. Jesse Whittington is on the outside of the second row. Ross Harlow, as we talked about, inside the top 5. Then Lawson Peel, Curtis Kelly, Austin Shoemaker, Mario Miranda, who's up to 9th place after starting 18th, and Chris Shoemaker, one of the last drivers inside our current top 10.
Yeah, so lots of moving and shaking here. A little bit more than I expected. I'll be completely honest here about that, Kenneth, but we've still got plenty of time left to go. About 6-7 laps to go left in this stage. Let's see how they take it out.
A lot of time left in the race, not as much time left if you want those crucial playoff points. Green flag back in the air in the tricky triangle 200, and car round, it is Miranda into the inside wall, and he was turned immediately. Caution flag is out. I do not believe he caught that inside wall, or if he did, it was bare contact on the rear end of that Ford Mustang. And man, that is tough already. Miranda had started his comeback through the front, and it's washed away in one fell swoop.
Yeah, one fell swoop indeed. Let's take a look here. The bright green and black machine on the center of your screen, that's going to be the one that gets into problems here. Oh, looks like the 14 in front of him. That's going to be Austin Shoemaker, checked up a little bit. That put him on the back foot, and as he tried to get out of the way, just unfortunately made some contact there with a few other drivers in line.
And remember, DJ, what Aaron Adcock mentioned in this race, trying to survive the restarts, 14 car, you see him back up there. I think that was a misshift where he just could not get the car into the higher gear, so it blocked up the 99. He went down and then catches the 48, who just hooks him around, and that is contact to the inside, save for barrier, but that is a rather square hit to the rear end, so I don't think, DJ, that he'll be needing to come down pit road by any stretch of the imagination, but that is going to put us under yellow again, so it looks like good news for Colin Forster, who gets to stay out front.
Yeah, he's going to be sitting pretty here at this point. And if you are Forrester, I think you want to see these yellows just continue to come out here, maybe try to take them all the way to the stage break, if at all possible. But we will have to see. Still plenty of time left to play, and we know we're at least going to get a couple more laps under red, or under yellow.
Yeah, 100%. And the Fast Banana teammates are now 1-2. So Austin Reedy, with that restart, is now going to be on the outside of the front row. Steven Stepien drops back to P3. Let's see if we can dial up the driver of the 99, Mario Miranda. And Mario, I know that was a tough situation there. Fresh off of the restart, what happened there from your perspective?
Yeah, it looked like whoever in front of me, I don't know if it was Austin or someone in front of him, missed a shift, or it was a really bad start. And, you know, these noses are stiff, but also can be sensitive. It kind of depends if the iRacing gods are with you. So I got worried, and I thought I had room to the inside of the jump and try to avoid hitting Austin. And, you know, Alex was still there, and I thought I had enough room, but I guess I didn't. But not too much damage, just, you know, 4 flat spotted tires and, you know, scratched paint. But it kind of hurts. I won the stage points there. I think I had a fast car, and I think I could have got in the top 5 by the end of the stage. But we'll be back. It's a long race, so.
I know you started pretty deep in this field, 18th all the way up to the top 10 before that incident. What was it like trying to move through the field? Did you find any difficulties or any notes that you'll probably be carrying on through the rest of this race?
It's hard to pass, and you just have to be methodical about what you want to do and where you want to do it. You really kind of have to give the field about 5 laps before you start passing. Just in those early laps, everyone's so aggressive. Everyone's just fighting for position, and everyone has the same mentality and gaining spots. So you kind of have to save your stuff in those first 5 laps, be the mature one in that situation, and really start picking people off in the later stints. So yeah, that's why I was thinking I could get in the top 5 at the end of the stage. I think I saved my tires better than the rest of the top 10 because they were all fighting each other pretty hard at the earlier bit of the stage.
Well, we certainly hope that you can pull off the same thing and be all the way at the front in due time. Mario, tough break there on the restart. We know you'll be back in it. We know how relentless you are. We appreciate the time, and best of luck as we get the green flag to end stage 1.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
So that is Mario Miranda, driver of the 99, who did get the worst end of that restart. And that spin bringing us our most recent caution. Now, because of the caution thrown right after the restart, the race control, Josh Lokovitz, did not call at the stage. So it looks like we are going, for the moment, to this restart. And it will be around 3 or so laps, DJ, until we get to the end of stage 1. So this is going to be good here for Fast Banana, since they'll control this restart on row number 1, but for everyone else, it's going to be a scrap.
Yeah, it's going to be a real fight here at this point for these positions as they try to get themselves up through the field. I hate to say this here, Kenneth, but I would not be surprised if we see a little bit of over-aggression from some of these drivers, maybe getting their elbows out a little bit too much, and we see another yellow before this stage is officially called.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there 100%. When you're looking at a lot of these guys, most notably Garrett Brown, who's back here in 11th, Aaron Adcock, who's into 14th, they are really close to getting some crucial points that could help them propel into the round of 8. And although it's still another stage left in this race, you want to get that foot forward early and as early as you can. So yeah, I'm not surprised if we will see a little over-aggression and some 3-wide action possibly throughout these next couple of laps. So Fast Banana has row 1 in control, Reedy and Forrester. Ross Harlow, he was from 5th on the last restart. He's now up to 3rd. Steven Stepien is in 4th. Curtis Kelly to round out the top 5. And this is a good run, DJ, for Kelly, because we talked about him getting into the outside wall as he tagged to 24. He kept his foot in it. He's up to 6th, and so this will be really, really positive stuff for him as one of those drivers deep below the cut line.
Yeah, very much so. This is going to be a big boon to them here at this point if they're able to continue on in this course. A lot of drivers here, like we said, moving up from the back of the field here, courtesy of a lot of these pit stops, a lot of these incidents we've seen on. So it's a very fluid race here at this point, Kenneth, and we've still got to figure out exactly how it's all going to shake out.
And we got to figure out a stage winner, too. Austin Reedy, Colin Forrester will have row number 1 to themselves as the pace car makes that left to the entrance of pit lane. There's Barney the Flagman to give us the go-ahead to get stage 1 concluded. Green flag back in the air. The entire field chases for turn 1. Forrester tries to give the draft to his teammate before the corner arrives as Ross Harlow has some help from the 71 behind. Steven Stempian back on that inside groove as Colin Forrester leads them through one side-by-side for second.
Yeah, Stempian seems pretty confident down on that low side, and indeed, he's going to get a position here, maybe 2, as that was a split from the 2 drivers in front of him, and he's going to absolutely split the difference here. No, he's going to back off a little bit. I think choosing discretion is the better part of Fowler down into the tunnel turn.
Trying to find space in that narrow portion of the track, and they're going to make it almost 3 wide. In fact, they will make it 3 wide again. That's for third. Curtis Kelly powering on the outside as Ross Harlow shuffles in a second. Lawson Peel trying to make his case known on the outside of turn number 3 as we'll get the final 2 laps here in stage number 1. We are side by side for fourth. Peel has the advantage of draft as we are 3 wide behind with Justin Erb on the bottom.
Yes, we are. You've got to be careful about 3 wide here coming into turn 1. Well, then again, you got to be careful about 3 wide coming into turn 2, and they made it work out last time. Although it looks like here that they're going to be able to sort out their differences coming onto the exit of the corner. Watch for the wash-up. They're going to keep it together. Good run. And there we see the dragon move a little bit by the leaders.
And look who's involved in that battle for the 10th spot and that singular point in the first stage. Garrett Brown in the 16 and the 23 of Aaron Adcock. 2 of those that we talked to pre-race and those that are in unique situations in these playoffs. Adcock does need that advantage, especially knowing how far up the field Steven Stempian is inside the top 5. Good look at Ross Harlow here in second. Forrester leads them to the stripe. It looks like that will close stage number 1 here from Pocono. Race control will throw it in just a couple of moments. There's the caution flag. Colin Forrester wins the first stage from Long Pond, Pennsylvania.
You know, I have got to say this here, Kenneth. Colin continues to impress me over the course of this year. He's come in as a rookie. He's put down solid performances. Kind of felt a little bit like he snuck his way into the playoff picture, and he has just responded. Every single time he's had his back up against the wall, he has responded.
He definitely has. Every race when you think you might count him out because, oh, he's a rookie or, oh, he doesn't have a win yet, he continues to stack it on everybody. And tonight, showing that he is a driver to be reckoned with here at Pocono. 8 top 5s this season, 9 top 10s. Colin Forrester looking for that crucial win to advance into the next round. So they will pick up the iRacing official pace car in just a moment. So this will take a while, TJ. It's a long track, so they do gotta find that car at some point. I think it's off the exit of turn number 1. But what a race there for 10th. Garrett Brown, Aaron Adcock trying to get at it for that singular point, and looks like the advantage goes to the 16.
It does indeed. Looks like they're going to have just the edge here coming in at the end of stage 1. Now everybody's going to re-rack, restack, get back down into pit lane. This is going to be interesting, as we've seen already. Track position very, very crucial. They're going to have to try to make sure they get this pit stop absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah, we are expecting 4 fresh tires and fuel. There's no question about it. And they did make it to the first stage on fuel, so it looks like strategy, much like every other race, is not going to be in conversation until that last one, or if, let's say, if something else does happen, cautions do fly a little bit oddly, and we do have alternative strats. Remember, Wyatt Brackett, he pitted earlier in this race on a recent caution, so he's back in 29th. Will he stay out? Will Richard Swavely do anything different? Mario Miranda, who pitted, he pitted for damage repair, but you could also just get tires and fuel and get that over with. 13.6 second stop for him. You never know what could fall here at Pocono. So DJ, I'm expecting this to be somewhat of a shift in how the second stage might play out.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there about that. And I also think we're going to get into a little bit of a situation here where we may see a little bit of some tire calls coming into play. 113 degrees, as you said. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an aggressive driver or two maybe take a two-tire call.
Oh, do you think it might be aggressive, though, this early on?
I think track position has proved to be that crucial here. You're only running 20 laps. If you need a way to jump your way up in the field, Take 2 tires here. Take the gamble.
Well, speaking of drivers staying out, it's going to be led by James Kunkel, and guess who is going to stay out? Gary Sexton in the 13, the 94 of Jesse Whittington, Wyatt Brackett in the 30. They are going to be among those that will remain on the racetrack as everyone else comes in. 7th on back, led by Colin Forrester. His teammate for Fast Banana, Austin Reedy, taking the top spot in pit lane as the pole sitter tonight. There are the drivers firing off the lane. The 31 almost has it, but he does get beat off of pit road. Ross Harlow with a monstrous 14-second stop.
That is mega there for Harlow. Looks like nobody taking my theory of maybe doing a 2-stop call or 2-tire call. Everybody taking 4 here at this point. But yeah, that is absolutely mega run off a pit lane there for Harlow.
Ross Harlow wins the race off pit road. James Kunkel the leader, 22 laps in from Pocono.
Janice.
What's up, Doug? Hi, Cheryl. What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
What I'm really proud is that I own MPI, the steering wheel company, and I'm building the steering wheel. This is my creation.
This is yours.
Yes.
It's so sexy.
The steering wheel, it's a very unique thing. It's shaped on the hand of Scott Dixon.
His hand.
Yeah. This grip has 27% more grip feel than suede. Scott in the race is gonna make less effort when he drives. When you're in the car, it's like lifting, it's like having 40-pound dumbbell like this, maybe more in the car.
For how long?
3.5 hours. You know, average heart rate in the car, never below 150. Never below 150. You need to be a real athlete to drive.
Yeah.
They exercise every day.
Fuller,
Yeah.
needed F-150 for Smith build.
Got it.
Yesterday.
I know.
Don't forget my BMW.
Gotcha. Check this out. All the major online automotive sites in one place. BMW, done. F-150, done.
How's he do it?
I can search nationwide, even those classified sites. Auto Tempest, all the cars, one search. That's how I do it.
What got into you? At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Ready for stage 2 from Pocono Raceway. Welcome back to our coverage of the Tricky Triangle 200 as part of the round of 12 elimination race for the Sunoco Cup Series. Kenneth Bueno and DJ Clark to bring you all the action in the booth. And Ryan Bauer, our producer tonight, using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. We are now seeing a strategy race unfold right before our very eyes. Top 6 have stayed out at the stage break. James Kunkel, the leader of the brigade, and we're back under green from Pocono. A big jump before turn 1.
Yeah, big jump there up front from Kunkel and Whittington. They know what they have to do here. They know the rest of this field has got fresh rubber behind them, and they need to try to get this jump, get as much air in between themselves and the rest of this field as quickly as they can.
Now, the headlines that cover the top 6 that have stayed out include the 13 of Gary Sexton and the 30 of Wyatt Brackett. Both of them playoff drivers that have stayed out up until this point. They want to be up front here in this second stage. Brackett caught the outside wall in a stack up out of turn 2. Gary Sexton has been a little back and forth all night long, and he did find a bit of trouble. He is one of those drivers locked beneath the cut line, and Brackett is relatively close. So this is a big call, DJ, to stay out in this manner. And that 30 car is feeling the heat. That 5 car right behind him.
Right behind him here, trying to put some pressure on as they go. Harlow looking this way, looking that way, trying to figure out if he's going to be able to get a jump there, but they're starting to catch up to some of those drivers that didn't make the stop. Oh, we've got a car in the wall in the back.
Car in the wall, and that is, it looks like Warren Kyle Keith in the 24, who's on pit road. I did see a car on the outside wall. That was Justin Miller in the 22, the blue Chevrolet. And then, or rather Toyota Camry, as it looks like one car had stacked up right in front of Miller, and then Keith had gone right into the wall. We're 3 wide, almost 2 rows deep for position.
Oh my goodness, through the tunnel, turn 3 wide, hold it together, boys, and somehow they do.
Wyatt Brackett trapped on the inside, Glenn on the top, and Peel in the middle. Probably one of the most dangerous places to be, but the 12 is going to keep his foot in it. A look on board with Stempin, front row seat of this showstopper that's happening right in front. He's going to help his fellow playoff driver. Number 12, Gary Sexton's around in front. He comes right back onto the track. Does anyone get into him? I do not believe so. And a caution is out at lap number 26.
Oh, and bad luck again striking Gary Sexton here. Remember the yo-yo race that he had last time out? Looks like it's going to befall him again here today. Let's take a look at the replay, figure out what happened. Looks like he got a little bit squirrely coming off in turn 3. Tried to block a little bit coming down across the nose of the 3 there of James Kunkel, and then it all went wrong.
Now from that angle, it looks like that is the race for the lead, but they were way behind the 94 of Jesse Whittington. Look how far they were away from the race leader. But yeah, you're right, DJ. That 13 just came down trying to block the 3, but it was too little too late. We mentioned those curved rear bumpers. We talk about it mostly at the super speedways, but here at Pocono, you have to keep it in mind too when you're bump drafting and trying to make sure that you get in line with drivers and push them forward. Looks like the 13 just got a little unsettled. He did a great job of locking onto the brakes, but I was so concerned he was going to come back up the track, but everyone does a stellar job of getting around him.
Yeah, we've got to give credit here to the field. They certainly were able to get around him cleanly and keep everything, as well as this entire field, in single car incidents.
So Gary Sexton involved in this incident here from Pocono, so that's going to hurt him dearly. The driver who came into this race 10th on the playoff standings, with a total of 3,024 points, 8 points behind those guys who had the spot up at the top in Steven Stempin. So Gary Sexton involved in the incident. DJ, you're caught up with him.
I have indeed, Gary. Rough break out there. How you feeling?
Not happy. I mean, racing for second there, like, I'm going to be way faster than James. I can't remember a time where he's ever passed me just clean, like without, you know, me making a mistake. And I made a little bit of mistake there. And I'm not giving up that position. I got to run up front. And, you know, I don't know, 20 laps into the race, and he decides he wants to just turn me. So I get it. I blocked him. But like I said, he's never passed me before, and I wasn't about to let him pass me there. So...
Well, I mean,
I don't like letting slow guys in front of me when I know I'm just going to try and pass them back anyway, and then they're going to ride on my door the whole time. So, you know, it's just kind of poor etiquette, poor racing. That's all. But don't blame it on me for blocking.
I'm sorry that all came down for you, but what's the strategy here at this point? What can you do to fight back?
Driving more aggressive. I mean, they don't like the way I'm driving now. They're really not going to like it here soon. So that's pretty much it. I got to win the race.
Well, Gary, I know you got a long lap to get ready for it, but we're going to let you go to that. Good luck, my friend. Tough break early on, but I got faith in you.
Yeah.
Gary Sexton not happy at all with that incident. I mean, DJ, you can't blame him though as well. I mean, you're staying out here as a playoff driver. You know what's at stake, and you know you want to protect that track position, but it's just that little bit of contact that gets you sideways, just because you wanted to block that run from the 3, just wanted to work together with him to catch up to the race leader, and now he has plummeted all the way to 29th. I believe he's the only driver, DJ, back there on the set of old tires on these guys that did stay out, the recent yellow.
Yeah, I think he is the latest one to be able to do that. As I look back over, yeah, Kunkel is the one who stayed out the longest. So it looks like here, though, Kenneth, that we're going to be trying to get James on the radio right now, and I think you're going to be able to talk with him here in a minute. That's an interview I want to hear.
Yes, sir. Driver in the 3, third place right now. We'll talk to James Kunkel. James, know that incident there with Gary Sexton, he was not happy about it. What did you see from your perspective?
I saw an unnecessary block.
And you felt that it was a little unnecessary at the moment coming out of turn 3 as you guys were trying to catch up to Whittington?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's so much faster than me, so if he just gave me the position, he'd have had it back in a lap. So it is what it is.
All right, well, you move forward here. You're in a P3. You're setting up for the restart now as you guys begin to double up behind the pace car. You stayed out here on the old tires. You led the field on the last restart. What's the mindset here in the strategy context as you guys move forward through the race?
Just trying to get out of the mid-20s. Just, like you said, get some track position. Hopefully stay out of the mess. Didn't want to find myself in that right then. Just trying to get stage 2, and we'll go from there.
All right, we've got the track position still. Looks like the race going well for you apart from that incident. James, we appreciate the time, and good luck on the restart.
Thank you.
So that's James Kunkel, driver of the 3. He's going to be restarting in the 2nd row. Now, the thing that happened here, DJ, while we were looking at that incident between Kunkel and Sexton, was that the driver who now occupies 2nd is a fresh tire machine. Colin Forrester is going to have the inside of the front row. He is not the race leader, but he is going to watch for that 94 when we get to green. So he's got somewhat clean air, DJ, when we get back to things.
Yeah, and that's gonna be interesting to see what Colin is able to do. I'm gonna try to bring him out a little bit more, try to see what he is able to do, because that's gonna be the real test to see what those new tires are worth.
Yeah, Ross Harlow here on the outside of the 2nd row. Gonna have to hope that he does not get trapped in a old tire sandwich, whether it's Kunkel on the bottom, obviously Whittington in front of him, Parker Bland that's behind the 5. So he's got to be a little careful here on his toes, and we've got an even spread of old tires and new tires here. The next fresh tire car that is behind the 31 and the 5 is the 81, Steven Stempian, who's logged back in 7th place. So restart here at lap number 30 of 80. Should be around 10 or so laps until the end of the 2nd stage. Boy, has this race gone rather quickly, despite the fact that we've had a couple of yellows and some incidents tonight. We've seen this race go by in a blur as we get closer to eliminating 4 drivers from playoff contention. Pace car is down. The Chevrolets lead us to the green once more. Jesse Whittington brings it back underway from Pocono.
Ooh, bad start there for Forrester. Lost out to Ross Harlow. He's going to have to tuck back into 3rd in line here at this point, but back behind him, 3 wide again, coming into 1.
Lawson Peel trying to get on the inside there. 3 wide, couldn't do it. Now they're door-to-door for 2nd. Kunkel is loose at the exit of turn number 1. We're 3 wide for a moment again. Wyatt Brackett trying to get back inside this top 10 is looking Miranda fan out to the bottom.
Oh, Mario can taste a little bit of a run here. He wants it. Here he goes as they're still stacked up a little bit as they go through the tunnel turn.
We know how determined Miranda is, especially after that incident where he knew he had a car worthy of a top 10 performance. As he tries to get in, he's through to 17th. As we watch these battles continue to develop, there's the fight for 2nd. The 31 stays on the bottom, has to back out. Now we'll follow that 5 car down the front straightaway, back up near the outside wall, and look at the run they have on the 94 for turn 1.
Oh, he's going to back out of it there a little bit. Harlow had the speed, had the ability, but wasn't able to get it done. Now here comes Forrester. He recognized the little bit of hesitation there from Ross Harlow, and he's on the attack.
He's going to stay back in line 4 now. We know how narrow that tunnel turn in turn 2 can be, so he's going to stay single file. Our first side-by-side battle is around the back half of the top 10, even a little bit outside of it, but they settle it through into turn 2. Harlow trying to build a move as here's the 96. We get on the outside of the 14, had a bit of a bobble there off the corner.
Little bit of a bobble. There's some movement here in front of Reedy. You can see that as that's Wyatt Brackett, I think, just trying to find the best line for himself, trying to find the best amount of grip coming off of turn 3. Looks like he's going to be able to stabilize himself as we check back in on the lead here. Harlow coming in. We've got a caution, the 13 around.
Sexton and Kalist and Warren Kyle Keith all involved in an incident on the front straightaway just past the start-finish line. The 13, remember that incident that he got in with James Kunkel, put him to the back of the field, and I guess these are the consequences when you're all the way back there. Somebody can make a mistake, and you're at the mercy of being involved in another caution. DJ, what happened here?
Looks like Gary tried to go aggressive down to the inside there. Contact up on the wall, and that was the domino effect coming back into play.
And there's Warren Kyle Keith, locked up the brakes to get around it, but just could not control the race car. Got into the wall. Here's a look at it from Chuck Phelps' perspective. 75 will get loose out of turn 3. Bam, into the 43, and then right down into Sexton, who had absolutely nowhere to go. Now Phelps escapes with minimal damage. And the aftermath just forms right behind him. And Sexton, his night has gone from sour to worse at this stage. Here's a look from Kalis.
Yeah, there you see really nowhere for Kalis to go. He was just a hapless passenger, and all of that to be true.
Started 28th in this race. He now sits as the last car on the lead lap. So here's a final look at it. A little bit of a wider angle. This is behind Dustin Reeves. As that 75 just gets loose out of the corner, goes right down onto the track. And that 43 who tried to get it straight, unfortunately, just sailed it down the racing surface directly into the 13's path. And DJ, we haven't seen that all much tonight. Turn 3 looseness. We're seeing that out of turn 1 most notably, but out of that final corner, haven't seen it as much just because Dirty Air has made these cars rather underseries. But for Phelps, I mean, that car just got up from underneath him and lost it. As soon as a look from Swavely, who got right through it all.
Yeah, big smoke in front of Swavely there, and absolutely checking himself down. And frankly, lucky there that wasn't a bigger impact with the 78 from behind Dakota Wilson. Good check up there from him to make sure that there wasn't any impact.
So caution out once more here from Pocono Raceway. Last time we were here, we had a total of 8 cautions for 24 laps. So it looks like we are already at a couple of cautions. Might be near halfway. I think we're already around 4 or maybe past that at this stage of the race. Colin Forrester behind Ross Harlow. They're both going to stay out. Jesse Whittington's going to fake his way on in. It looks like Parker Bland will do the same. And this has benefited them, DJ. They've been able to stay out in front. I think mostly the 94 more than anyone else, just because he got himself so far ahead of everyone. Then the contact between Sexton and Kunkel happened, separated them further. Had a little bit of a fight there on the last restart, but as these yellows keep flying, he can just enjoy the company up front.
Yeah, certainly can here at this point. I mean, these yellows are working out wonderfully for him.
Yeah, he is really making the use of it. Jesse Whittington was not here last week at Texas Motor Speedway, but is coming back with a bang, doing all that he can to try to get his second win of the season. A quick reminder that coverage of the Sunoco Cup Series playoffs is brought to you by SK Sim Racing. SK Sim Racing has been a proud sponsor of the series and offers a wide variety of services to get you up to speed on your sim racing game. For sim racing products, Kayla Synthetics, AmSoil, and all the latest news around the sim racing world, you can learn more at sksimracing.com. So Jesse Whittington, leader of tonight's race from Pocono, as we close in on the final 5 or so laps from stage number 2. Ross Harlow behind him in second, Colin Forrester to round out the top 3. Let's talk with the driver of the 5. And Ross, in the last time we were here, it somewhat favored you. 16 laps led on the route to a 4th place finish. Tonight has been rather strong for you. What have been the keys for you behind the wheel on how fast you've been tonight?
It's just, being patient, fight what you got to fight, but also don't fight the inevitable. If somebody's faster than you, you got to kind of just let them have it for the time being. It's still too early to get too wild. I know we were 3 wide into the tunnel there at one point, and that was absolutely terrifying. But yeah, it's just making good decisions, trying not to get too crazy here. Not throwing any big blocks. Just try to get in line, get a big run. I was about to start. I had a big run on Jesse. I think I could have made a move on him and won there before that caution came out, but. Right now we're stage racing, so just trying to get everything we can to take a little bit of money into the round of 8.
You're going to be starting inside of row number 1, but you've had a lot of pressure. That 31 of Forrester was there. We know that there's a plethora of playoff drivers behind you when you go back green. Is there a way that you're trying to tactfully either get around them or try to fight them as cleanly as possible? And how is it to pick and choose your moments racing here?
I mean, it's tough, you got to have such a big run to really be able to make something stick here. or you got to hope that somebody's willing to back out of it and be patient. For now, it's kind of just, unless it's a sure thing, you know, I'm trying to just stay in line or, you know, maybe just poke my nose out, make somebody unsure and see if I can force them into a mistake. But, you know, just trying to drive with a little respect. I know that Stempy had a pretty rough round at Texas. Forrester had a pretty good run, but, you know, not a whole lot of pressure around me right now. Just trying to be smart and, you know, a lot of talent around me, though, and a lot of guys that I've got a ton of respect for. So, you know, it helps. It helps a lot. You know, you're willing to give each other room, and you've got the confidence to run close to each other as well. So it makes a big difference.
Well, that the Valhalla Project Chevrolet is looking good up front. Ross, we appreciate the time. Go get him on the restart.
Thanks, buddy.
Ross Harlow in the 5 inside row number 1, but he'll have to watch on the right side, that 94 car. And we'll have the jump when we go back to green. Here's a look at the playoff standings on the right side of your screen. 1 point separating Curtis Kelly and Wyatt Brackett for that last spot into the round of 8. With Gary Sexton's mishaps as of late, he's now 28 spots behind the cut line. It's only 5 for the 23 of Aaron Adcock, so it's still relatively close. And even then, look at Garrett Brown up ahead of the 71. In the standings, it's only 4 points, so got to keep that in mind. We'll watch those 4 drivers too, as we get closer to the end of this stage, which we will have at around 4 laps to go until lap number 40. Green flag, and the 94 gets a plethora, but jump out of turn number 1. Looks like the 81 of Steven Stampian right behind, but he'll get locked in the draft. Ross Harlow's going to stay down there. Lawson Peel trying to force 3 wide on the inside.
Yeah, I'm going to try to make it work here as they go. Let's see what they can do. Going to sort themselves out now down through turn 1. Little bit of jiggling around back in the field there as they try to get themselves sorted. Looks like the first 2x2 is going to be Harlow and Forrester coming down, and now Harlow's going to back out of it.
It's always taking a moment for these drivers to get used to these cars out of turn 1. A bit of wiggles here and there, but everything seems to be all fine. And Danny battled for position at his 6th place. Lawson Peel still on the inside, but this time on the 18 of Parker Bland. The defending winner here at the Tricky Triangle is looking to lead this race for the first time. He still cannot break free of that UPS Chevrolet, but watch the battle for that singular point in stage number 2. It's going down between Wyatt Brackett and Garrett Brown, DJ. It's going to matter big time with the way they are tight, locked in points as Steven Stempian gets the outside of Colin Forrester for P2.
And he's going to be able to make that run as they go, looking to see what they can get done. I don't think Stempian's going to have quite the run here as they come down into the corner, into the tunnel turn. Indeed, he's going to fall back a little bit. Forrester now looking like he may be on the aggressive, but watch out for Harlow. He ran a little bit high there coming through the corner.
And he got the outside wall, so we're not sure how much damage that will make up on the 5 machine, and that's going to help Curtis Kelly because he is that driver right above the cut line. He's inside the top 5, and he can make things work. We're getting to the final 2 laps here from Pocono in stage number 2. The battle for 10th is still on. Look, it easily looks to be falling back. Garrett Brown has been trapped in 11th. Here's a look from the Prestige Worldwide Racing Ford Mustang, and there's the difference. Brackett currently right there on the cusp of the playoffs, and then the 16, 1 spot ahead of these guys.
Yeah, and that math is going to be playing into the minds of these drivers. They are going to know exactly where all of their other drivers are, and if it's not them, it's going to be their teammates, their engineers, their strategists on the wall letting them know.
Here's the 96 inside on Parker Bland and the textbook pass, so he'll move into 7th. We'll keep an eye out of the 16, the 30, and the 71 as they fight for stage points at the end of these couple of laps. It looks like Lawson Peel is trying to dial up the inside, but he can't quite get it. Now a battle for the lead. Steven Stempian looking on the bottom on the front straightaway.
And here he goes, and look at this, Colin Forrester thinking about it as well. He's got a choice of lanes. Which one does he want to go on? Which one is going to be faster? Looks like he's going to hold low. That's going to put Steppy into the lead. Whittington trying to hold it out, and that's going to be Forrester trying to fight from behind.
Whittington only one of 2 non-playoff drivers currently in this top 10. There's the 99 of Miranda, that green and black Ford Mustang in the background. He's finally back in the 10th place position. Harlow gives a huge shove to the 31 entering the tunnel turn, and now they're door to door.
Oh my goodness gracious, this is starting to get a little bit elbows out here, Kenneth. I think they know they're coming to the end of the stage.
They did not separate at all coming off of that tunnel turn. They were locked side by side, and they still remain side by side, almost putting the 31 into the outside safer barrier as Steven Stepien crosses the line. That will be stage number 2, and the 81 car puts in a buffer between himself and the cut line. Stepien closes off stage 2 with a bang.
Great heads up there from Stepien, absolutely charging his way, working his way forward, doing everything that he can do there, and as you said, giving himself that excellent buffer.
And Mario Miranda got the singular point for finishing 10th. Garrett Brown loses out on a playoff point, rather just a regular point. Wyatt Brackett ends up getting 2 points for finishing 9th in the stage, and Curtis Kelly, what a run for the Fast Banana car. He's into P5, so that should help his case, at least as far as staying above the cut line goes. Aaron Adcock ends up falling back to 22nd on the end of that run. The field will pick up the iRacing official pace car, DJ. A lot of aggressive racing, DJ. I'd say a little more aggressive than stage 1. I mean, between Forrester and Harlow, that looked like some last lap racing, and that was only for the end of the stage. They were roughing each other up.
Yeah, they really and truly were. They knew that there were some playoff points at the line, and they were putting their elbows out about it. But now, Kenneth, here is where strategy starts to come into play. Are we going to see the full field come down pit lane? Are they going to be able to make it these full 40 laps? These are questions that we are going to get answers to in a short amount of time, but I'm not sure that we've got them fully at our disposal here at this point.
Yeah, that's true. And you talked about in the break for stage number 1 that you were surprised that a lot of drivers didn't take 2 tires. Is now the time to do it? It is by now you've learned enough about these cars. You learned enough about the competition around you. You've sort of gotten the vibe of this race. Is now the moment where if you make a 2-tire call, then you'll be confirmed for it, and it'll help you in the long run.
Exactly. We'll have to see here if anybody decides to do it, if anybody decides to make that call. They're working their way out of the tunnel turn right now, so we still have about, let's call it a third of the track here for them to make their way back to. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see some drivers make that gamble, specifically if you're sitting around, let's call it Chris Shoemaker, Brad Fulham, that territory, Justin Erb back there as well. Any of those drivers, they may be the ones to want to make that move.
So here come the leaders out of turn number 3. And Steven Stepien will lead them in. We'll see if anybody does stay out. Looks like some dude that is Austin Shoemaker. Looks to be the lone car that's going to be out there. So it's going to be interesting there for the Prestige Worldwide Racing Ford Mustang. Looks like some others will join him. But for the moment, the rest of the field is coming in. And it should look like 4 fresh tires and some fuel to get us to the beginning of stage number 3, which, like we usually say, DJ, at all the other races, is the longest, and it is going to force strategy for all of these guys. So they do have to be a little more cognizant of what they're doing on this stop, as opposed to, let's say, the one for stage number 1, as you watch the race off.
Yeah, it looks like, oh, we've got a couple of takers on the 1-tire strategy. It looked like I saw the 71 absolutely rocket their way forward. That's Curtis Kelly. No, that's just a good pit stop. That's still 14. I think Travis Stevens back with a 6.1. That's a little bit abnormal, but looks like everybody taking the full 4 tires.
Man, what a stop by Curtis Kelly, 14.2 seconds, and that gets him second off of the pit lane behind his teammate. That's 71, trying his best to make sure he can advance in the Sunoco Cup Series playoffs. More coverage of the Tricky Triangle 200 on the other side.
Janice.
What's up, Doug? Hi, Cheryl. What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Fuller.
Yeah.
Needed F-150 for Smith build.
Got it.
Yesterday.
I know.
Don't forget my BMW.
Gotcha. Check this out. All the major online automotive sites in one place. BMW, done. F-150, done.
How's he do it?
I can search nationwide, even those classified sites. Auto Tempest, all the cars, one search. That's how I do it.
There is Max Papis in the Ferrari. As great a race as Ferrari has ever won.
The steering wheel for me has always been a sensitive spot. There's a whole experience there that we're all trying to refine. Max Pappas, he asked me one day, he says, what can I do in a wheel? I said, well, with the new.
What got into you? At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Ready for the restart to kick off stage number 3 of the Tricky Triangle 200 as part of the Sunoco Cup Series playoffs here on Podium Esports. 3 drivers stayed out under the most recent caution. It's Austin Shoemaker, Gary Sexton, and Sean Kalis, but they are slowly being eaten alive by the fresh tire cars. Colin Forrester moves his way into 3rd, but that 14 maintains control at the exit of turn 1.
Maintains control by a pretty hefty margin there at that point. It's got to be said. Shoemaker doing a pretty darn good job. Sexton trying to be able to pull ahead as well here. But I got to think they're going to be gobbled up by these cars that made those pit stops in just a short amount of time.
And that 43 is struggling on the inside of the racetrack already. Dropped 2 or so positions. Leaders in the outside wall, so that moves Gary Sexton to the lead. You saw that 14 car dart to the inside of the racetrack off the tunnel turn. Now the 31 challenges on the outside to no avail to clear the 13. 3rd car in it, the 0G teammate of Stepien, and that's going to matter big time.
That's going to matter massively here, and now here comes the push. Giving it to the 13 down the front straightaway. Not seeing a breakout there, but here comes Lawson Peel taking a poke down to the inside, taking that super low line we've seen him take a few times.
And caution is out again. Trouble in the back of the field. 3 cars involved, Muscarella, Bland, and Judd Danielson in turn 1.
Oh, and this is really one of the first multi-car pileups we've seen here over the course of the racing, Kenneth. And I've got to imagine for this that this is probably, again, a little bit of miscommunication coming down through the corner. Let's take a look here, keeping an eye on that UPS machine of Bland. A little bit of movement there behind him as they go.
Oh, it looks like Mock and Adcock's incident, right, DJ, on the front straightaway?
Yeah, very much does.
Oh, just a side draft gone wrong. And then you look at the 2 cars at the grass. Dustin Reeves, Judd Danielson get caught up in that late. Here's a look from Danielson, the SK Sim Racing Ford. His teammate Sean Kalis trying to survive all the way at the front of the field. He's trying to fight against Aaron Adcock for position. And you see right about here, the 48 gets a little close. Too close. Contact.
Yep, and that's what it is, and that's the margins we're dealing with here at this point, Kenneth. It's so fine, and the 85 there just kind of looked like they were out of control really through the rest of the corner, and then the unfortunate passenger just be picked up there as they went.
Yeah, Dustin Reeves at the bottom of the racetrack. You see him, beautiful Ford Mustang, by the way. He's been sporting this scheme for a couple of weeks now, and he sees the cars on the inside. He can see that 85 get sideways. He thinks he's clear of it. He tries his best to go to the bottom, and just too little too late. Just gets a piece of the damage there. A little crinkle on the right front on behalf of that 85. So rather harmless contact, though. It shouldn't take anyone out of the race. So it looks like they'll be okay, and they should be able to repair those cars in due time. Now, speaking of cars getting repairs and being in coincidence with cars being a lap down, we do have only 2 cars lap down or more that are currently on track. That is the 24 of Warren Kyle Keith, and then the 22 of Justin Miller. And then the cars behind them, Mock and Knighton, have DNF'd from the race. They are also multiple laps down. You look at the right side of your screen, the cut line battle. This was updated after stage number 2. Curtis Kelly stage, but somehow doesn't break him free of that bubble. He is 5 points only ahead of Garrett Brown, who missed out on a playoff point, and the 30 of Wyatt Brackett, who tried to fight for that 10th spot. And then I think for the 23, DJ, things have gone pretty badly. 20 points now out of it.
Yeah, that is not at all what they wanted to have happen. A very, very rough running. And that's frankly kind of exactly what to expect here at this point at Pocono. You either have a good race or you have an atrocious one.
At Pocono, nothing seems to ever go someone's way. It goes with the corners too. You can have a great turn 1, terrible turn 2, great turn 3, and then vice versa and vice versa. This track is so difficult. We've seen some of the reactions of the drivers and how things have moved forward. One of the drivers involved in the incident was Parker Bland, and DJ, you're caught up with him.
I am indeed. Parker, it looks like you had a little bit of problem there and going into the pits. Sorry if we caused that, my friend.
I don't want to talk about that.
Well, talk to me about the incident. What happened there from behind the visor?
I know Alex told me it was netcode. We got like a little chat in game, but yeah, that was kind of scary in VR.
I can imagine. Well, okay, where does this put you back here? How do you come back at this point? What's the strategy?
Just gonna try and get all the damage fixed and see what I can make up. I know track position's pretty key here, so I don't think I'll make up too much ground.
All right, well, you know, I mean, not making up too much ground. Any sort of crazy strategy you can throw at this point to maybe get you back up there?
Only thing I can really think of is just not pit again and hopes everybody else pits at some point.
All right, well, we'll leave you to it then, Parker. Good luck. Hope that strategy plays out. All right, Kenneth, that was Parker Bland, driver of the number 18.
You know what? Mentioned VR and said how scary that was. Sometimes I forget the drivers are in VR, and then when you're in that first-person perspective, you're in a crash like that. It is not fun. Never fun.
No, it is not, and I don't have a VR setup, but I can tell you I've done a couple races in VR. It's a altogether surreal experience. Can actually give you a little bit of motion sickness if you're kind of not prepared for it. And if you get into an accident of any kind, and I'm not talking about the pinwheeling down the back straightaway kind of incident that we always joke about, even something like Parker just went through, it's absolutely disorienting.
Oh yeah, it is 100%. I've tried VR too in the sim, and frankly, the setup I have didn't work with the glasses. It felt like it was just bending the glasses that I had. But when you feel like you're in the car with the VR setup, I mean, look at Parker all the way bottom left of the screen on this driver wall. Everyone else seems to be working with monitors. They're just using their eyes on the screen. But Parker literally has a screen directly to Bland's face, and that is either really cool on one end, but it can be really scary if you get involved in something on the other side. Now let's take a look back out on track where strategy is still unfolding. Remember, Sean Kalist, and among those that did stay out, Gary Sexton is one of them. He was on pressure for the race lead. Colin Forrester, Lawson Peel, you name it, they were trying to break him apart. And Sexton, who's had a terrible race up until this point with the luck that has befallen him, now has the lead. How scary is that going to be, DJ, to hold on to the front position?
I think it's going to be pretty darn nerve-wracking. I mean, he's got about, let's call it 7 laps, older tires. I think he can maybe get a good getaway here at this point, but once push comes to shove, and once everybody gets up to speed, Gary's going to be looking at, well, what's basically a train belching out steam in his rearview mirror.
Oh yeah, they are going to be right there with him, and if he makes the slightest of mistakes, they're going to take advantage of it. We saw Austin Shoemaker when he scrapped the wall coming out of turn 2. Everyone else just went around him and did not care what happened. Pace car is going to make its way down. It's an early jump for the 0G Ford Mustang of Gary Sexton. He'll bring Colin Forrester with him in draft before turn number 1. Mario Miranda, who has spent a bulk of this race trying to get inside the top 10, he's got to look at the top 5 going into the first corner underneath Ross Harlow. Side by side for third, stepping in on the inside of Lawson Peel. There's the crossover for the lead. Forrester is down there. Caution is out again. Dakota Wilson.
Oh, and it looks like another potentially single-car incident there for Dakota. Going to come off the wall. No, it is a 2-car incident. Excuse me. Not sure who that is there behind. Some pretty hefty damage there for Dakota, though, it looks like. And it looked like the car coming off the wall as well made some pretty hefty damage. So 2 cars maybe potentially out of this race.
Yeah, 2 cars indeed. That is the 71 of Wilson and the 85 of Danielson. We can confirm. So this is how it started. Man, what a hit to the outside wall. Second time we see an incident as well, DJ, off the exit of turn 1, and it was in the middle 3 wide. Wilson just got a piece of Adcock, then got into the 48, and that is the hardest hit by far. This is a look from the 85.
Yeah, rides on board with him here. You see him going down in. Boom! Big hit there. That absolutely sent him around.
This can easily unravel for you, and for the 85 again, just caught up in an incident that was not his fault. He just found his way in there, not intentionally obviously, but it just, the luck not his way at all. As a look at the number 78, man, that's a disgusting hit to the outside wall, and then as he careens down the track, he catches that 85 who goes pancaking into the safer barrier, and Alex Muscarella finds himself once again in a caution, not directly picking damage up from it. The 78 rather does get into him.
Yeah, certainly does. As you said, don't think there's going to be any damage there on that necessarily, but still a very hair-raising moment. You don't want to be making contact at that speed coming through turn 1. Let's take another look on board here from the number 32 of Richard Swavely. Down through the corner, there you can see the contact, this sort of ping-pong going back and forth. That all just happening to the right of Swavely.
It just kind of reminds you, especially with that hellacious of a hit, the crashes Jimmy Johnson, Bubba Wallace suffered through here at Pocono a bunch of years ago. And going for turn 1, you're going almost 200 miles an hour. I mean, these cars are still 190 some. They're really going fast, and you're in the middle of that corner. I mean, you're committed. You make that contact, the car just unsettles and goes right into the wall. It is dangerous, and it is very scary. Now, of course, in the sim, nobody can pick up any injuries apart from maybe the wrist hurting if you have a direct drive wheel with a lot of force behind it, but good news for everybody physically, they are okay, but for Dakota Wilson, that is enough damage to take him out of tonight's race. So he becomes the 3rd DNF from Pocono Raceway. That is good news for Gary Sexton, who will have to be behind the iRacing official pace car, but the catch is he's going to be still in the race lead. So he's going to have to hold on to that for just a couple of moments, as here's the battle for the cut line on the right side of your screen. Man, it has not gotten separated at all. While Stepien has pulled away, nobody else has.
Yeah, nobody really has here at this point, and I think that's largely down to the number of yellows that we've seen here over the course of the race. We haven't really had the chance to get the rhythm and the groove here around Pocono. I mean, we talk about this being like a road course in the way that it races. Well, you certainly got to get those kind of rhythms when you're running a road course, and really over the course of this last stage, and I'd kind of argue in stage 2 as well, we haven't seen that rhythm develop yet.
No, we haven't. We really haven't had a long green flag run. You just argue that stage 1 was some of the longest green flag racing we've had out on track. Let's dial up the driver of the 85, Judd Danielson. And Judd, I know it was a tough break for you. Second time you're involved in an incident that really wasn't your doing. You just got caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time. What did you see there as the 78 got into coming down the track?
I mean, I saw, 78, you know, it just cranked to the right, and I thought, I'm already wide open, I'm just gonna keep going, and he caught me on there. So nothing he could do, nothing I could do. It's tough. I mean, I love racing here at Pocono, but it's a tough track. It definitely demands your attention.
Yeah, 100%. And we saw a lot of drivers, whether it's at the front, middle, or back of the field, everybody in this field has found some sort of difficulty trying to race this track. For you, did you feel turn 1 seemed to be really sketchy for you, or what has been the most difficult part of driving this track, whether it's just you racing the surface or the drivers around you too?
I don't think I'm taking the preferred lines. I was watching some of the faster guys in practice, and I just couldn't get comfortable with that outside arc in it, so I was on the bottom a lot of times, downshifted, but turn 2 is the one that I would like to be almost wide open if I can. I just can't get through it, so the tunnel turn is really my nemesis. Turn 1 wasn't so bad.
Well, John, unfortunately, he got caught up in that incident, but I'm sure that Ford Mustang will be fixed in enough time. We certainly appreciate the time. We're sorry about what happened there on the racetrack, but we hope you can get it back out there soon.
Yeah, thanks, man. We're good.
So that's Judd Danielson, driver of the 85, currently P30, trying to get his car repaired. DJ, what was the magic word that he said in that interview? Did you catch it?
I did not, Kenneth. You're going to have to come at me with that one.
Downshifting. We talked about that all night long.
We haven't.
Ryan Bauer, our producer, mentioned it to us during practice. He was watching Steven Stempion's lap and looking at the way he shifted. We didn't talk about that either throughout the show, and I think that's partially my fault, because these drivers are not only in 5th gear around the track like we've seen at Texas or other speedways across the schedule, they're kicking it down to 4th, and that plays a factor in how the car handles. Very big in the momentum that can shift either your way or to the other drivers' way.
Yeah, very much so. If you're able to roll it a little bit more, may help you, but we've got to get on the loud pedal here at this point.
28 laps to go from Pocono. A bit of a shuffle there on the inside. I think they stacked up quite a bit, but Gary Sexton in the 13 leads us back to the green. Forrester going to have to deal with a run from Steven Stempion on the outside, and there are 3, and I say 3, 0G Ford Mustangs lining up the outside lane. So the danger zone here for Forrester, who's going to have to hold on to the inside lane off of turn 1. There's the push from the 99 to the 81 and travels to the 13. 0G Mustangs are clear going into the tunnel turn.
They are absolutely pushing it here at this point, going, trying to see what they are able to do, as here they work their way down the back straightaway. Gonna back off a little bit there is Stempien, not wanting to push Sexton.
It was more like going, and gone. Those Ford Mustangs immediately shot up to the front. Now the top 3 occupied by all teammates and all playoff competitors. Austin Reedy gets the outside of Lawson Peel, stranded on the inside. Nobody to help him there. He'll try and shut the door on Whittington, but too little too late, and takes notice of it. Peel's gonna fall back. He's gonna try and dive back into turn 1 with a shot at it.
Yeah, he's gonna have a shot at it here at this point. Let's see if he can roll the speed off the corner. A couple of drivers very high up into the wall.
We saw Ray Rogers and a couple of others that did scrap the outside safer barrier. We're 3 wide at around 15th, but that has settled through. Ross Harlow to the inside of Austin Reedy. That's going to make his way through P5 and might get him to P4 if he can get the inside on the 31, but to no success. And they are freight training him on that outside as this field thins out, heading for 26 to go.
All right,
contact.
Yeah, a little bit of bumping and banging coming through 3. Somehow they keep it all together.
Whittington's in the wall, almost traveled down the track, checked up the 12 car, but somehow they're going to keep it together. Here's a look on board with Garrett Brown, one of those in danger of being eliminated from the playoffs this evening. He's trying to get underneath fellow playoff competitor Wyatt Brackett. That's a point that he can separate from himself and Curtis Kelly, who's right in front of them. So a battle between the trio here at the cut line. Whittington's in the wall again.
Oh, that's not good. You can get away with a scrape or 2 here at this point, but you keep getting up into that wall again and again and again and again. That's going to damage the car, and as we talked about earlier, damage the aerodynamics.
It scrubs off miles per hour. Whittington is trying to wrestle that race car. He slid all the way up through the tunnel turn, and that lost him a lot of momentum. Peel did not go to the inside, but he might try and do so before we get back to turn 1. Battle for position, P8, Ross Harlow underneath Curtis Kelly as the 12 car finally gets to the inside of that 94 machine. Again, those 3 drivers, the 71, the 30, and the 16, all fighting to get into the next round as Colin Forrester gets to the bottom of Miranda, tries to take 2 for 1 in a turn 1.
Oh, Mario's getting aggressive here at this point. He's going to roll speed, but he's going to be blocked up a little bit. Stempien, more contact with the outside barriers.
Last time we were here at Pocono Raceway, Steven Stempien did not lead a single lap, but came home in 2nd place. He finds himself 2nd now in the closing laps here from Pocono, and around 24 laps to go when we get there. And he catches right up to his 0G teammate as they stack it up going back to turn 3. DJ, are you expecting any moves to be made by these three right now, or do they just know because they're teammates, they can just hold on and keep the rest of the field at bay?
It's 6 one way, half dozen the other here at this point, Kenneth. I would normally say yes, they're going to keep it in line, but we know how aggressive Mario Miranda can be. He's already been down the order here tonight. He may be the one who's hungry going for a move, but here comes one from behind from Forrester.
Forrester sent it in for turn 1, almost got into the rear end of the 99. He's going to slide up in the corner. They make contact again. Now, Forrester is playing with fire right now as he gets freight train, single car on the bottom.
Yeah, he's going to be the single car on the bottom, getting absolutely run there. His teammate, the Fast Banana Racing driver of Curtis Kelly, going to slide back into line there. What's really interesting here to me at this point is watching Mario Miranda. He's running about a half a lane higher than anybody else on track.
And he is. It looks like the drivers behind are getting on the brakes way later, but Miranda is able to rotate through the corner so much better than them that he gets the run off of the exit. You see it right there out of turn 3. He did back it up a little earlier than the 96 did, who tried to make a move on the inside, but he just kept it smooth, rotated through the corner, did not get into the wall going out, and then again, he just follows cars sideways, and that's Wyatt Brackett, Ross Harlow. Harlow's into the wall.
Oh, and that's a big lick for Harlow. Looks like the number 43 there of Sean Kalis tried to avoid it as well, but he wasn't able to get out of it. There you can see that is Harlow trying to get that car turned back around and face the right way.
First incident on track for Harlow this evening. And for the third time tonight, DJ, it's side drafting that gets these two in trouble.
Yeah, it really is. There you can see that blue and white with the red numbering. That is going to be Harlow. There's the bump draft you see. Now he's going to come to the inside of the 30, tries to be able to get a little bit of that side draft, and just bing, ba-bang, ba-boom, all around.
A lot of it, spatial awareness there. I mean, you think you have enough space, and then it just rips away from you, and that 43 car just gets into the 5 and the outside wall a little late in that incident in the aftermath. Here's a look off the rear bumper of Harlow Chevrolet. You see the smoke coming out, and then right here, he'll visit the outside wall. It used to be boilerplate here at Pocono Raceway a long time ago. And then an extra hit there from the 43. Sort of reminds me, DJ, of what Kyle Larson faced early in the Pocono race in real life, where he just backed it into that same turn 1 wall and came all the way back. But for Harlow, that comeback story is still yet to be written, and here's a better look at the incident.
Yeah, and that is some pretty massive damage there. And then Kalis, I think, just got out of the groove a little bit, maybe even got up onto the marbles, and that's what sent him up there around to the outside and made more contact there with Harlow.
So caution is out once more as we approach the final 20 laps here from Pocono. Now, these guys have gone, at least for most of them, 17 laps on their stint. So that's Steven Stepien, Miranda Peel, you name it, further down to the top 10. Now, for the leader, Gary Sexton, he stayed out, mind you. That's why he's up at the front. He has 24 laps on his set of tires, 24 laps on fuel as well. These cautions are helping him save fuel, but at some point, DJ, you might think that Sexton has to come down pit road if things get a little tense, things get a little arduous. Challenge is going to be there for Sexton as he will try and lead everybody in. Not sure if this will be a fake or an actual call. Looks like this is an actual call, so they're coming in.
All right, and that plays out beautifully here for Gary. He's now back on the standard pit stop cycle. He's going to be able to get fresh tires on that car, and he should be in good position, minus the damage that he might have to deal with.
So here are the ones that stay out. Alex Muscarella, Austin Shoemaker, Justin Parker Bland, Warren Kyle Keith, who's finally back on the lead lap, had those cautions and get him all his laps back as here's the fight out of pit road. The 96 all the way at the front. Colin Forrester right behind. Ross Harlow, of course, with the damage that he has to repair, but it shouldn't be that much to take him out of the race. Gary Sexton's going to try to get out first. He does, but the top 3 0G cars, looks like they are split. As Stepien falls back dearly through the top 5 or 6 or so, and Lawson Peel gets third out of the pit lane.
All right, definitely a little bit of a change around there, and I think for a lot of those leaders up at the 0G cars, they're going to be a little bit upset. They were able to really dictate the pace here, dictate how they wanted to be running this race. They're not going to be able to do that as much. They may now try to get themselves back up there.
And Ross Harlow is down to 28, so he is spending the time repairing his Chevrolet. It looks like he's going to have to do a lot to get back up to the front, either needing more cautions or needing strategy to get in his favor. The winner at Richmond and race number 3 of this 2023 season has not picked up a win since, but has had a great playoff run up until tonight. He came into this race at around 5th in the playoff standings, so it looked like he was relatively safe to get into the round of 8. And right now, this race has turned on its head for him as Alex Muscarella leading a group of cars that all stay out. Make that top 7, DJ. They're going to stay out on old tires by about 9 laps at least, or 18 laps at most. It's a big range.
This is absolutely fascinating, Kenneth. I'm not sure how this is going to break down, but this is going to be interesting. We've got drivers with all sorts of different tire strategy out there, and I don't know how any of them are going to hold up.
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to work, and we talked about fresh tires and how things were going to settle on strategy. We haven't seen it being as effective as, let's say, it is at a lot of the other intermediate or bigger tracks on the schedule. It's going to help, of course, Sexton and the gang to get up to the front, but how long will that take is the question, and the draft, you think of the other factors that go into it as well. Gary Sexton, though, is fighting for his playoff life because he sits in that 7th place spot. He is 6 points away from that cut line to get into the next round. Garrett Brown holds that last spot. Curtis Kelly has 1 point above these guys. And then Wyatt Brackett in the 30 is 3 points out. He sits 15th. Brown is 16th. Curtis Kelly, it looks to be sitting into the 11th spot just ahead of these guys. So it is miraculously close, and 20 laps to go. DJ, I don't know if we're going to see more green flag racing, or at least long green flag racing for the matter, because aggression is going to be at an all-time high.
Yeah, it's just going to keep ramping up and ramping up and ramping up. I'm not sure if we've seen the end of the yellows here today, but I think if we do see more, they're going to be a little bit more impactful because these drivers know it's go time.
So that everything you do from here on out might cascade into the events that we'll see to end tonight's Tricky Triangle 200. Alex Muscarella leads a group of old tire cars to the green flag restart at lap number 62. Austin Shoemaker on the inside. Parker Bland is 3rd. Justin Erb is in P4. Dustin Reeves in the 6th car. We saw him have trouble early on in the race, but this call might help him get a good finish out of it. Warren Kyle Keith is 6th. Gary Sexton, first fresh tire car, in 7th. And boy, he got bottled up on that restart on the outside. Muscarella is going to lead this field as they're 3 wide for 2nd for a moment going into turn 1.
All right, here they go down to the inside. Justin Erb trying to make that line work if he can, but the 14 of Shoemaker going to try to get a little bit of a play. The 18 of Parker Bland back up into this mix again, but look at that lead for Muscarella starting to pull away.
Muscarella is loving the sight behind him as they start to fight for position. Sexton and Miranda almost got into it coming out of turn 1, and Miranda almost got the bumper sent to him by the 96 of Reedy. Now we're 3 wide for 2nd. Bland up the track, Shoemaker in the middle, Erb on the bottom.
Oh, and very fanned out there. This has disaster written over in about 12 different languages. Here as they come down into the corner trying to sort themselves out, get things together. It looks like we've got a car a little bit higher. Are they going to avoid the barriers? Yes, they are.
Erb is going to hold on to 2nd, and that 14 car is going to fight all that he can to play defense, and that 18 is looking to break it all. That 12 and the 99, they go side by side for position number 8 is Sexton, still the highest running fresh tire car in 7th, but they wash it up in front. Bland is sideways in front of the field, and we're going to stay green. 4 wide, make it 5 from Pocono.
My goodness gracious, we're used to 5 wide down the front straightaway, but they better sort themselves out before they get down into the tunnel turn. Here they go. Sexton holding off down on that low side. Somehow they're all together. The 71 has to check themselves up. That's Curtis Kelly.
Trouble. Whittington in the inside wall. He gets Steven Stepien up the track. Caution is out again. 18 left.
Oh my goodness, that was a little expected, unfortunately. If you're going 4 or 5 wide down into the tunnel turn, it's not going to end well there, Kenneth.
Oh, that 81 of Stempian, who's been so good all race long, now has his race torn up quite a bit. The 94 of Jesse Whittington toes it to pit lane. And here's a look at this. Boy, DJ, I expected 5 wide, maybe in my wildest imagination, on the front straightaway, but to see it on the backstretch, look at this as Reedy makes it 5 cars abreast going into the tunnel turn, and that's really the recipe of how the trouble started.
Yeah, when you're going down with that many cars trying to filter down into really what breaks down to pretty much a 2-lane road, you're gonna have problems, you're gonna have that kind of contact, and you're gonna have exactly what we had happen. And it's unfortunate there that Stempian was the victim.
In the middle of all that, Curtis Kelly, who makes contact with Whittington at first, that's what got him out of shape. The 16 of Garrett Brown and the 30 of Wyatt Brackett, both of them, DJ, right behind this incident. They have been on pins and needles all night long, just trying their hardest to move forward into the next playoff round. Curtis Kelly doesn't really see much from the front bumper, but he feels it on the side of his race car as the 94 makes contact with him. Then the Best Buy Ford Mustang, the Cartoon Network Chevrolet, they see more of the incident in front of him, and that's relatively scary when you know that points are making the difference here between advancing and going home.
Yeah, exactly, and we are seeing that here with these drivers putting it all on the line, putting absolutely everything they have. A couple of drivers doing a little bit of a fake out, thinking about going down into pit lane. I don't think anybody's actually going in.
Looks like most of them will fake out, so track position is king. And here's a look on the right side of your screen. Boy, that hurt Stempian so much. He was 17 points above the cut line, and now the 81 car is only 1 point above everyone beneath 9th place. And that is dangerous for the man who came home second last time we were here almost a full year ago, and one of the favorites to go out and win this year's championship. Drama is building from the triangle.
Yeah, it certainly is. There's the wave around being issued there, it looks like, as they're going to come back around. Now, here's my big question. As we go back into everything, is how is Muscarella going to handle this jump? But more importantly, we've got Stempian on standby for you, Kenneth.
We do. The driver of the 81 caught up in that incident out of the tunnel turn. And Steven, I can imagine that you probably didn't imagine that we'd be 5 wide on the back straightaway, but we were. And you were 4 wide going into the tunnel turn. You get into that most recent caution. What's going through your head in the aftermath of it all?
I don't think you guys really want to be interviewing me right now. I'm not happy with the patience in this league. It's kind of trash, but, you know, we're going to rebound and try to survive and get to the next round. I'm a little heated right now, so I'm going to keep it short because I might say some things that aren't going to be, you know, liked by many.
Of course, fully understandable. We know you're just fresh off of that incident there, but you've got a really fast Ford Mustang tonight. I mean, you and the Zero G teammates were on rails at one point at the front of the field. Talk about your strength here at Pocono and how you've been able to master this track as the race has progressed.
I mean, Pocono is one of my best tracks, and I really felt like I had a good shot at a win here, but, you know, it is what it is. We're going to march back forward and try to get this thing in the top 10 with the next 15 laps, you know, try to stay clean and be smart, unlike some people in this league, but whatever, we'll get to it. We'll get there.
Just going to remind you, that picture of LeBron James when the headline says no team has come back from 3-1, I imagine that's you right now. We know you had the
Red Sox, baby.
To get back
Red Sox.
One. All right, with 14
Red
to
Sox,
go,
Yankees.
Steven, we'll let you get back to it. Steven, go get him.
Thanks, guys.
So Steven Stempian in the number 81, restarting 27th here on the restart. Man, that was a tough break for him, DJ. I mean, I can imagine you have such a fast car all night long, and then you go 4 or 5 wide of the backstretch. You try to get out of it alive. You try to survive, but at some point it just doesn't work. Somebody either gets into you, there's a little bit of bad luck that comes your way, and there's really nothing you can do about it. You just understand the frustrations of Stempian right now, and you can add on to that with the way the playoffs situation's working out for him too.
Yeah, very much so. You understand exactly why he's frustrated. You understand exactly the position he's in at this point, and it's just very, very unfortunate that comes to play on him there. And you understand his frustration. You understand why he's feeling a little bit up here at this point. Here they go. Coming down through the tunnel turn, the site of disaster last time. Let's hope it turns around this time.
We still have old tire cars at the front of the field. We're getting into clutch time here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. We'll reset the order for you. Alex Muscarella outside row 1. He's your leader to the green flag. Justin Erb alongside him in second. Warren Kyle Keith, who was about 5 or 6 laps down earlier in this race, he's now in the podium spot. Austin Shoemaker up into fourth. Lawson Peel, defending champ, in the top 5. Gary Sexton right alongside him in 6th. Mario Miranda 7th. 8th to Austin Reedy. 9th and 10th going to Dustin Reeves and Richard Swavely. 14 to go. This time by green flag out once again. A great jump by the SKM Chevrolet. He's got help from his teammate. And there's a look at 3 wide already. Shoemaker getting help from the fellow Ford Mustang behind him. We are 3 wide for third.
Oh, we're 3 wide. We're almost there. Almost 4 wide there for a second. Muscarella able to get the good jump off the line. Little bit of banging and bump in there between the 12 and the 20 as they came through the corner. Looks like they're going to be able to sort it out.
And the 13's around into the inside wall. Hard hit for Sexton. And the yellow's out immediately. Oh, no.
Oh. And that's going to be a tow back down into pit lane there for Gary. I've got to imagine that's going to be some pretty heavy frustration there for the driver of the number 13. Let's see exactly what happened. Brought it through the corner. Looked okay here. That's Miranda there behind him. I'm not sure there. I need another angle. I'm not sure if there was contact with Miranda or if Gary just drifted up the track ever so slightly.
See if we can get a better shot at it. This is an aerial view of them coming out of turn 1, which has quickly, DJ, become a trouble spot for the field. We saw the front straightaway be the problem at first, but now it's the exit of turn 1. And yeah, it was minimal contact with Reedy as he came up the track. And the 13 just darts down to the inside wall, and that is a hard lick. Here's a look from Miranda.
Yeah, Mario gave plenty of space there, and that was just what we talked about early on here at this point. Getting onto the throttle a little bit too early, the car drifting up the track, especially on a little bit of older rubber. I think that's exactly what happened to Gary, and also doesn't help. He caught a little bit of a snap of oversteer mid-corner there.
Oh, yeah, and he comes up the track as he's trying to save it. I mean, nothing wrong there on the inputs for Sexton. He's trying to keep that Ford Mustang straight and keep it going, but he makes that minimal contact when you're already about, this is 158 miles an hour when he hit that 96 coming off the corner. As he's a look further back to the field from Chuck Phelps, who was near the incident. Right out there, sees that car go straight for the wall. Comes back up the track. Boy, that's really close, like hole in the wall. Just gets straight through it. But for the 13 of Sexton, that is race over. He is disconnected from the session. He becomes our 4th DNF of the night, and his chances at a Sunoco Cup Series championship are now done and dusted.
Yeah, an unfortunate there run for him, and that is going to be the end of the run there. Is that Miranda? No, he's doing another fake out. I thought Mario was going to come down pit lane, and I was very, very confused.
All right, so, man, this is going to be tough. 11 laps to go now. And we've seen a bit of the desperation for those fresh tire cars. I mean, Lawson Peel, Gary Sexton, Austin Reedy, Mario Miranda, boy, have they tried their hardest to get up through the field. I mean, but they have not been able to find green flag runs, DJ. That's been their kryptonite. It's been so hard for them to pick up spots when you've got 2 laps, maybe 1 lap, 3 laps going green. How much is that going to affect now the closing end of this race when SKM has the top 2 locked out?
I mean, it's going to be different. SKM's going to have this lockdown. They're going to try to be as big and as wide as possible to try to block everybody out as they run. They're going to have to see if they're able to do it here at this point. We've seen drivers be able to get around them. But if I'm Muscarella here at this point, yes, I'm not running up in that battle for the playoffs, obviously, but I want bragging rights. I got this on the line.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And this is going to be so close. And between these guys, I mean, look at it. tied all the way through that cut line. Garrett Brown, Wyatt Brackett, and Steven Stempian all at 0. They are all tied for that position to get into the round of 8. Now, with this tie that we may have, and if it ends in a tie, we will have our tiebreaker decided on the highest average finish of the round. Now, Steven Stempian is trapped all the way back in 25th. He did not have a lot of time to progress through the field, given the fact that the caution came out so late, or rather so early off of that restart. And at Texas Motor Speedway, it was a pretty good race for him. He ran pretty well for most of the race. He did come home 14th, though, so it wasn't the greatest run for him. But for Garrett Brown, he finished 8th. And for Wyatt Brackett, he came home in 11th, better than Stempian. And then you look at the finishes that may happen tonight, TJ, from Pocono, where at this point Curtis Kelly's in the top 10. You look at Wyatt Brackett, who is just outside the top 10 in 11th, and Steven Stempian, who's back in 25th. If we go by average finish, history does not care about Steven Stempian if they end up in a tie, and that's what's going to be the scariest thing about it.
Yeah, very, very much so. It's going to be a very scary proposition there for Steven Stempian. He is not going to want to have to do that. And if we do have a situation where there is a tie, we are going to wait for official confirmation to be able to do that. And looks like here, Kenneth, that we're being told check social media because we may not have that confirmation on broadcast.
Yeah, we'll try and extend this broadcast as much as we can post-race, and we'll try to get that word for you. We'll see if we can get it as quickly as possible once we get the checkered flag. But if not, just try and keep an eye on Podium Esports social media, whether that's through Instagram, through Twitter, through Facebook, whatever social media platform you're using that Podium Esports is on. Stay tuned to that because they will have the up-to-date information on what goes down in the Sunoco Cup Series playoffs. And, of course, we'll confirm all of that for you if we can on the show. If not, we'll talk about it more through the next race at Richmond Raceway next Sunday. We'll try and double this up again. Restart with 10 laps to go at this 2.5-mile triangle. Muscarella the leader, Warren Kyle Keith on the outside, Justin Urban, Lawson Peel doubled up in row number 2, Austin Shoemaker inside the top 5, Reedy, Miranda, Swavely, Kelly, and Reeves, your current top 10. SKM looking to get a fun win of their own as non-playoff drivers. Lawson Peel and others looking to either advance the momentum into the next round or try and lock their way in with a checkered flag. Pace cars down, green flag in the air.
Not nearly as good of a getaway there from Muscarella. Oh, big pile up in the back.
Big crash. Brad Fulham is sideways. He lands on all fours, and that's the yellow again before we get to the first corner, and Aaron Adcock is involved.
Oh, and that's going to send him plummeting down the order again. That was a massive, massive lick there. I want to see what happened. I've got to imagine this is the result of a little bit of a stack up coming back through the line here. Let's see. Yep, stack up and a bad bump.
And it all began with Dustin Reeves. That car on the 5th row on the outside, the Ford Mustang, I think misses a shift right here, DJ. Yeah, and then stacks up Parker Bland, gets Shoemaker, gets Rogers. That entire line just gets into trouble, and they go down the track. And then all the hard hits ensue.
Yeah, they very, very much do here at this point. Oh, man, that was a big, big lick. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Missed shift and just a stack up there, and that's what happens when you're running this close to one another.
And you look at the 19, up and over. Flipping here at Pocono, the 23 of Adcock directly in the heart of that. So was the 5 of Ross Harlow, who got into an incident and has been trying to work his way through the field. Man, these playoff guys get trapped in the field, DJ. They have not found themselves in good positions. Look at Colin Forster there, who as well was back there behind the 5 car and that 19 with the most vicious crash we've seen all night long. Thankfully, he didn't go any higher than that, but the 19 car with the nastiest hit seen so far. As here's a look from Forrester.
Oh, yeah, frankly, Colin got off a little bit lucky there. He could have been another hapless passenger, but you can see the smoke and the reaction there from behind, just absolutely brutal.
Our biggest crash of the night, no doubt about it, and it's fresh off the restart. And Aaron Adcock talked about it. Restarts was not the greatest format. Texas wanted to survive off of them. You know how the chaotic they can be, especially at a track this large. When you miss a shift, everybody gets stacked up, and when you have this many lanes, you can go 3, 4, and like we saw in the backstretch, 5 wide at this track. As here's a look from the 23. Adcock has been fighting this race all night long just to advance, and it's pretty much unraveled from his hands, and there's nowhere to go there.
Yeah, there really wasn't. That was just an absolute stack up with nowhere left to go for the majority of the drivers. You gotta feel bad there for them.
So yellow is out with 8 laps to go, and that will keep the SKM Chevrolets at the front. There's a wave around there. Looks to be going to the 22 of Justin Miller, who will now be around 3 laps down. Brad Fulham, of course, with his damage. We're not sure whether he's going to be able to rejoin the race at all with that huge crash he had. He is 26, but should drop to 27th as long as he stays on pit road and might become another DNF here in tonight's Tricky Triangle 200. Now, that entire situation helped Steven Stempien because he moves us up to 19th. He's now +4, but it is still tied between Garrett Brown and Curtis Kelly. Now, the good news is that they are above the cut line. Wyatt Brackett has fallen to now -1 as he sits in 10th. It's still close, though.
It's still very, very close. Still very, very close up and down this order here at this point. Now, what's interesting to me here, Kenneth, is we've seen a lot of these drivers under caution recently. They're not doing a lot of weaving. They are basically just keeping everything together, keeping everything on the straight and narrow, going back and forth here, and really doing a good job of trying to keep those tire temperatures under control.
Yeah, they have, and that's been the great thing for them. I mean, a lot of these drivers have been very specific about trying to save their cars, save their stuff. And the men at the front, I mean, they've done a fantastic job of holding the fort down despite the pressure that they've withstood from all the fresh tire cars behind. It's starting to equalize a little more as this race comes down to a close. Wyatt Brackett in the 30, so close to advancing to the round of 8, 1 point off the cut line. DJ, it's a very interesting situation in the closing laps tonight.
It certainly is. Wyatt, want to ask you quickly, how much conversation are you having with your teammates around you here at this point?
That's all we're talking about right now. We're trying to make sure we're trying to do the right things to work together so we both can get in it. You know, we really got to just hit those lines and be aggressive, and hopefully we can, you know, put space between Garrett, Curtis, and I, and, you know, put cars between us. But, you know, the way everything's been going with these cautions and whatnot, it's hard to get a good run going and make that happen. So we'll see what happens here. We're going to give it our all, and we're not going to give an inch anymore. You know, it's do or die at this point.
Well, I mean, I've got to imagine that certainly does change things up here with all the cautions. Are you guys hoping that you're going to get a few more and maybe be able to just hold off to the front here, or is this going to be a situation where you want this to run green?
I think this is a situation where we want it to run green because we're both pretty confident we can gain a few more positions up here. So we're hoping that we can get that situation, but with the way everything's been going tonight, it's probably not going to happen.
All right, well, let's hope for fingers crossed that we're able to stay green just for our own edification up in the booth. But my friend, good luck out there. You got about a turn until you're back green.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, Kenneth, that was Mr. Wyatt Brackett.
Wyatt Brackett in the 30 is a part of Fast Banana Racing, is one of 4 Fast Banana cars that are in the Sunoco Cup Series playoffs. No doubt they have the most drivers in the field, and like you said, I mean, we're discussing it right there, trying to advance both the 71 and the 30. They've got that PWR Ford Mustang of Garrett Brown that's really spoiling the party for them. We'll see if everything changes, though, in these next 6 laps, or if we get another yellow. Green flag in the air for the 48 of Alexander Muscarella. He brings Warren Kyle Keith in with him through the draft. Chevrolet is at the bottom. Austin Reedy on the top side for turn 1.
All right, Muscarella's going to be able to hold off. A little bit of a fan out there. Lawson Peel holding up behind. Don't count out the number 12. He could certainly come along here at this point, and it looks like the middle of the pack able to get through turn 1 cleanly this time.
They are bump drafting on the backstretch. The 12 got the bump from the 99, which then turned to the 24. Was expecting him to dart for 3 wide, but he did not before they got to turn 2. He's going to hold on to the inside battle here with the 20 of Justin Erb. That is for 4th as Austin Reedy tries to plan a move on the race leader. Peel dives it in for the final corner. He's got the spot on Erb. Does he have it on Keith? No, he doesn't. Fighting the car out of the corner, and he saves it.
Saves it, but just barely. Look at that. That's a bad one for Lawson Peel. He's going to lose 1-2 positions there, falling back, but we've got a new leader, Austin Reedy, to the front.
Austin Reedy crossed Muscarella over, took the outside, and now he's in control from Pocono. The 48 is going to try and fight back. One car way up the racetrack. That's Miranda. They're door banging. Contact, and the 48 is around in front of the field.
Oh, and you hate to see that there. All these other incidents we've really seen at this point have been taking place farther back in the field, and the leaders have been able to keep themselves out of trouble. But unfortunately, here at this point, wasn't the case.
They could not separate as soon as they made contact. Warren Kyle Keith sustained enough damage to take him out of the race. And here's a look at the replay.
Yeah, just banging and bumping. No quarter given there between the two. Yeah, that seemed a little bit over-aggressive here at this point.
Mind you, Muscarella on older tires, Reedy on newer. And right there, the 48 just slides up. Made way, it looked like he was not going to make that corner. And even if he did, it would have had to have been a case where he was all by himself, but he had a car up there and just moves up the racetrack. Those two were way clear of third place. It was Warren Kyle Keith. Looked like at first that he got away from the incident, but DJ, he finds trouble at the bottom end of the track when he faces those nasty bumps that are down there. You see he gets through, but right there, bam, bam, and then right into the wall he goes. Not only there, but he gets this little kink in the wall, and that's what takes him out.
Yeah, little kink in the wall there, and that's what absolutely took him out there at that point. Let's take another look here for the 24, coming down through the corner, contact there in front to ride on board with Mario Miranda, and Mario looks like he got pinched there by Shoemaker, and I think that would have been an incident in and of itself, even if we hadn't had the other incident taking place in front of him.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they got into it themselves getting around it, and then you look at those guys on the bubble who were around this incident. Garrett Brown, Curtis Kelly, Wyatt Brackett, they all got through. So did Richard Swavely, who got through the bumps cleanly. There's Brackett, that purple Chevrolet behind him. And our wrecks just continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger from Pocono. And man, DJ, how many times have these cut line drivers been around crashes and somehow gotten through them? I think this is, if we counted it, we probably wouldn't have enough fingers to, because that was, wow.
Yeah, I mean, that has been the storyline of today here at this point. It's just all of these drivers kind of slipping and sliding their way on through. Here's Garrett Brown right now, and we're going to ride on board with coming up through turn one. There you see the smoke taking place up in front of him. Garrett making a little bit of contact. Big hop, skip, and a jump. Garrett is a very lucky driver.
Looked like you were playing kick bumps there at 180 miles an hour. The 16 car somehow gets through. That's the same bump that caught the 24 off guard, put him into the wall, but he saves it. Here's the 31 of Forrester. Oh, he goes sideways. He avoids that spinning car, though, so it could have been way worse if he caught that 48, but he keeps it off the wall. Fantastic job for Forrester to get out of harm's way. And Stepien, who was flirting with the cut line after being involved in an incident off of turn 2, might have to let out a sigh of relief. Although he does get a piece of that incident.
Yeah, it does get a little bit of a piece of it, but it looks like he's going to stay out here at this point, I think. So that's going to get him up into 11th place here at this point. So that'll be relatively decent running. We do have a couple of drivers that came down into pit lane as a result of that. Quite a few of them actually here at this point. Reedy, Shoemaker, Muscarella, Miranda, and Adcock all coming in. That's going to shuffle everything around.
Oh yeah, it is. Now, for those guys who did come in, most notably Reedy and Miranda, they are relatively safe when it comes down to points at this stage of the race. They built up enough points through the playoffs, been some of the most consistent drivers. They should be fine. But for guys like Stepien, I mean, for Harlow there, even a little bit, I mean, for Kelly, Brown, Brackett, all of them, these cautions are so pivotal for them to either avoid, or if they get involved, they have to get that car repaired to go right back out on the racetrack, because they do not want to be eliminated, and things are getting awfully close. We are going to be at a green-white checkered restart. So DJ, as we cross the line here, the lights are still going to be on from the iRacing official pace car as far as I'm concerned, and we're going to get into our first of 3 overtime attempts here from Pocono with Justin Erb out front.
Yeah, most certainly. And this has really been one of those races where, as opposed to most of the time we've seen in the Sunoco Cup Series, that it is relatively clean and that we're able to get things going. Things have been a little scruffy out here today. Now, the question's going to be, Kenneth, because this is such a long circuit, remember, they've got to get around to one more flag if they want this to finish out. Question is if they are going to do that or if we're going to see these other two green-white checker attempts get burned.
100%. Let's talk to the driver of the 32 who sits in row number 2, Richard Swavely. And Richard, you've had an up and down race tonight, but it is starting to work out in your favor. How chaotic is it behind the wheel now as you get to the first overtime restart?
Tell you what, the first half of the race, I mean, I'll admit I was driving like I had 1.5 combined brain cells the first half of the race. Got loose of a 3 and kind of ruined Justin Miller's night, but it's been a good rebound. This is one of my favorite tracks, so yeah, I'm looking very forward to this last little dash here.
All right, you've got 2 cars in front of you. You've got a shot at the win. What are you going to do here in these last 2 laps to try and get it?
The big money's going to be on this restart. I know Peel has a lot fresher tires than me, so depending on what happens in turn 1, it might be his race to lose, but my eyes will at least come talk to you guys after the race.
Hey, regardless, we hope it all works out. Richard, we appreciate the time. Best of luck on this overtime restart.
Thank you, thank you.
Richard Swavely driving in row number 2 here when we get the green flag. Justin Erb has control of this restart. And we'll get to the rules shortly before we get the green. We have 3 attempts to finish this race under the green flag. If we get a caution before the white, we'll do it all over again. But if the leaders get the white flag and there are no cautions, then we are running it all the way to the stripe. Erb looking for his first win of the year. Lawson Peel looking for his 5th and 2nd straight as the pace car moves down to pit road. Justin Erb has discretion in the restart zone. 2 to go from Pocono.
Not the best getaway there from Lawson Peel. I'll tell you who got a good one, though. That's Curtis Kelly and everybody up on that high line here. Wyatt Brackett may be back in a position as well as they get their way into turn 1.
Great stuff for all the cut line drivers because they are nose to tail on the outside lane coming out of turn 1. Big run by the 30. He'll try and use it on the 71. Bit of a block sent by Swavely. Shut the door on the 16. Justin Erb has the lead by almost half a second going into the tunnel turn.
And that could spell absolute success here for him. Let's see if he's able to get anything to run here. It's going to be down to Lawson Peel to try to get a run. Clark spinning off down to the inside. They're going to catch it.
Kip Easley down on the apron. He saves it. So we will stay green. They're side by side for 3rd. Brackett weaves his way through as the 20 of Justin Erb sees the white flag.
And this will end it. The next flag will end it. We are going to see a checkered flag here. It's now down to Erb and Peel, but what do Kelly and Brackett have to say behind?
Peel has 18 lap pressure tires, and he's been one of the better drivers to send it through turn 1. He demonstrates the hand to the 20. He's got the door in. Peel's on the inside for the lead.
They're going to be side by side here as they work their way down into the corner, leaning on each other. A little bit of a bump out of the way there for Lawson Peel, but Erb could maybe hold this out.
Gotta be careful through the tunnel turn to avoid that outside wall. Advantage to driver number 20, Wyatt Brackett in 3rd place on the outside look. One more chance for Peel. He moves in, side by side for 3rd. The 12 cannot shake the car. Erb is sideways. Peel gets to the outside, and up the final corner, it's 2 in a row for Lawson Peel.
Oh my goodness gracious, car got squirrely there for him, coming down to the inside for the number 5. Or the number 20 rather, I can't believe it. Peel with a brilliant attack, forcing an error out of his competitor.
And we have a tie for the last spot in the round of 8 as Garrett Brown finishes in 5th place. Curtis Kelly gets a podium finish. And there's all the celebrations given to now the 5-time winner in Season 6.
Absolutely incredible stuff there. Peel, as I said, just put the pressure on, piled on the pressure there to the back of the number 20 of Justin Erb. And unfortunately there for Justin, he just cracked under that pressure.
Shades of Darlington, where Jesse Whittington had a shot at the win against Zach Wilson. He lost it off the final corner, gave Wilson the P1 spot back, and it happens all over again. as Lawson Peel gets his second straight win of the year, his 5th overall this season, and brings you tonight's Sunoco winning moment. More high-performance engines rely on Sunoco race fuels than all others combined. And for over 50 years, Sunoco has been fueling the top race car drivers around the world with high-quality performance fuels they can trust to power them to the checkered flag. Sunoco, fueling victories from track to tank. 19th career Sunoco Cup Series win for Lawson Peel. He is now the all-time wins leader. And he does it in stellar fashion in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Man, DJ, he knew he was going to advance. He won last week at Texas, and he doubles down tonight. Unbelievable momentum.
Yeah, unbelievable momentum. As we said, it is absolutely incredible, and this is exactly what Peel needs to carry into these last 3 rounds. He is going to be riding high, and he is going to be tough to beat.
The defending champion is looking to go at it once again. He's got his eyes set on Homestead of Miami as he wins tonight's Tricky Triangle 200. Post-race coverage on the other side here from Podium Esports. Don't go anywhere.
Janice.
What's up, Doug? Hi, Cheryl. What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Fuller.
Yeah.
Needed F-150 for Smith build.
Got it.
Yesterday.
I know.
Don't forget my BMW.
Gotcha. Check this out. All the major online automotive sites in one place. BMW, done. F-150, done.
How's he do it?
I can search nationwide. Even those classified sites. Auto Tempest, all the cars, one search. That's how I do it.
Hi guys, today me and Moose welcome to my extremely formal presentation of my 2 latest creations, the MPI Sync Chassis and the MPI Foldable Stand. When I created the MPI chassis, I wanted to have everything included, what it means. So in the MPI chassis, I wanted to have everything you need besides the electronics. So it has the keyboard tray, mouse tray, adjustability, TV stand, computer stand, super stiff pedal assembly, a seat that if you want, if you don't have a lot of space, you can fold it. If you have limited space, I solved your problem. The MPI wheel stand, you can use any component you want on it, and at night, fold in half, very limited space, and you can put it away. You can use your own chair, your own TV, problem solved.
What got into you? At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Welcome back to Pocono. Lawson Peel gets his 5th win of the season. And before we dive into the point standings drama for the round of 8 in the Sunoco Cup Series playoffs, let's get you through the unofficial results here. The Tricky Triangle 200 from 9th place on the grid. Lawson Peel makes a last lap pass on Justin Erb to win tonight's event. Wyatt Brackett comes home in 2nd. Might have been good enough to get him through the next round. It's a really close finish though. Curtis Kelly, him in a tiebreaker with Garrett Brown, with the 71 comes home in 3rd. Richard Swabley is 4th place, so we talked to him right before that last restart. Did a great job of holding on to where he was. SheriffJape.com Racing with a top 5 finish. Prestige Worldwide Racing represented by Garrett Brown in the 16, hoping to advance. Parker Bland in the UPS car with a hell of a finish comes home in 6th place. 7th for James Kunkel in the 3 car. Justin Wares in 8th. Rounding out the top 9 is Ray Rogers, and 10th place goes to Steven Stempy, and DJ had a stare late in the going, but comes back and will advance to the next round.
He will indeed. Austin Shoemaker is going to bring home a PWR 11th and 12th with his teammate there. Justin Rivas right behind him. Then it's Harlow, Stevens, and Adcock to round out your top 15. Shoemaker in 16th, followed by 17th place Kevin Hurley, Kip Easley, Chuck Phelps, Alex Muscarella round out your top 20.
21st is the car that got sideways out of turn 3. Had a shot at the win. Justin Erb is the last car on the lead lap. First car one lap down is rookie Colin Forrester, who had started from second and had his race turned upside down. Justin Miller is 23rd. Austin Reedy in the 96, 24th. Got caught up in a big crash out of turn number 1. Mario Miranda, also tough race for him near the end as he closes out the top 25. Warren Kyle Keith involved in the skirmish out of turn 1 as well. He dropped 6 laps down to 26th place. 27th goes to Brad Fulham, who went end over end on the front straightaway before turn 1 in a big crash. Gary Sexton, 28th place, also crashed hard into the inside barrier off of turn 1. Jesse Whittington, 29th. Rounding out the top 30 is Sean Kalis in the 43. Then Dakota Wilson, Judd Danielson, Isaac Mock, and Casey Neiden closing out the 34 car field here from Pocono. Before we talk to the race winner, we do have unofficial word, but looks like official word from Dakota Curtis, if we were doing the math under the break, that the last spot in the round of 8 will go to the 16 car, Garrett Brown, with a better average finish over the round of 8 than the 71 of Curtis Kelly, despite coming home in 3rd. Kelly with an average finish of 13th, and Garrett Brown with his finish tonight has an average finish of 6.5. So the 16 car will continue a championship hunt in 2023. But let's visit Pocono Victory Lane, where we are joined by what's now the 5-time race winner this season, Lawson Peel. And Lawson, you had those last lap heroics, faster car near the end. You get by Justin Erb out of the last corner, last couple of 100 feet to the start finish line. What are your emotions after this win?
Yeah, certainly didn't expect to be here right now talking to you, Kenneth. Yeah, obviously feel real bad for Justin there. He had me beat, and he had that win earned. And anytime you see that, kind of like what Jesse did at Darlington, you just kind of hate to see that. But Jesse followed that up with a win the week after, so maybe if karma goes the same way here for Justin, he'll have a good week next week. I hate to win one like that. Led one lap all night, so it just that one fell in my lap a little bit, but it was certainly a tough race. Was just kind of stuck where I was at most of the day. A lot of competitive guys. It was hard to move forward. Got lucky missing that big wreck there inside of 10 to go, and finally got myself up there in those first couple of rows with a shot.
And you talked about the difficulty of passing here, Pocono. I want to talk about strategy as well, because, you versus Justin Erb not only was an on-track battle, but it was a tire battle. You had 18-lap fresher tires, then the car right in front of you in that last lap through its entirety. Did it ever cross your mind about tire strategy and all that, just because track position was so hard to get by?
Well, we had that caution with about 21 to go, and we still had 2 sets left. And I figured, if we were going to take tires, now that was the time to do it. So came in and got tires. It certainly gave up a little track position, but just with yellow after yellow after yellow like that, you just don't get the tires hot. So somebody that's staying out on old tires, it's just without running more than a couple of laps, 2 or 3 laps at the most, you're just really not heating your tires up enough to wear them. So. He still, certainly had, plenty of competitive. He still certainly had plenty of ability on that set left to. I guess mine were probably a little better, but just kind of got to him down there in turn 1, and he went in there in the middle lane and slid, probably worse than he was expecting, and allowed me to just kind of roll the bottom. And we came off of 1 just dead even, and it was just a drag race down the whole Long Pond straightaway into the tunnel, and he was able to just pinch me and then get me tight on the entry, and then it gets loose on the exit there. So if I would have come off of turn 1, maybe a little bit further back, more aligned with his left rear, maybe I could have side drafted him down at the end of that straightaway and shot down into the tunnel with a little bit of momentum. But after he pinched me and, I fell back in behind him, I knew probably wasn't going to have another shot at him. I saw Wyatt and Curtis coming with a run behind me, and then I just a little indecisive about what lane I wanted to go in. I was almost going to go down to the top in 3, but Yeah, he just got loose there. I hate that for him, and yeah, just like I said, certainly didn't expect to be talking to you right now, Kenneth.
Well, you're here nonetheless. You're in victory lane for the 5th time this season, but most importantly, it is 2 in a row. We talked to you last week at Texas, and you knew just how excited you were to move on to the next round. But how much reassurance does this give you as a championship favorite as you move on to the next round?
Yeah, it certainly builds the confidence. Next week in Richmond, we're gonna have to have a good night, just a solid night there. It's not a great track for me. Just don't need to get wrecked or have a really bad night, and then just move into Michigan in 2 weeks. That's the one I really need. It's a great track for me. Won there last year, and if I can win there, obviously that'll lock me in with no issues into the championship race. But just need to get through Richmond next week and have a good night at Michigan, and I think I'll be okay. Just don't want to peak too early, obviously this round was really good for me, winning both the races, but I would trade this one for Michigan in 2 weeks really quick. So don't want to peak too early. Hopefully we can keep it going.
I've seen how strong you've been at Michigan in other leagues, not only just this one. And so it looks like this next round is going to be very exciting for you as you come away with your 2nd straight win. I just noticed that Brandon Banks, your DVR teammate, who unfortunately wasn't here tonight, he said he's lying, told us in Discord he only wanted to lead 1 lap. So I don't know whether he's calling your bluff or not, but certainly awesome to see you back in victory lane, Lawson. On behalf of our entire broadcast crew, congratulations on your 5th race win of the season. You're now the all-time Sunoco Cup Series win leader, so that also means something as well. We'll see you at Richmond next Sunday. Congratulations again.
I appreciate it, and for the record, that's a lie. I never said that, but I appreciate my teammates supporting me, and shout out to all of them. Thank you, Kenneth.
All right, Lawson, we appreciate the time. Lawson Peel, the winner here from the Tricky Triangle, Pocono Raceway. After a last lap pass, DJ Clark, Wyatt Brackett, hard-fought 2nd place finish as he tries to advance into the round of 8.
Wyatt up 13 on the day, and it looked like at one point that you and your Fast Banana teammates had this track on lock. Seemed like a really good day for you guys out there.
Yeah, we put on a good amount of practice this week. Did a lot of talking, did a lot of just trying different things, with brake bias and different brake sizes and everything. We found something that worked for all of us, so kind of what we stuck to. I kind of messed up my qualifying, but the whole team pretty much started top 10 besides me, so it was a good day for us, and we just had some bad luck. Colin got a speeding penalty, and then Reedy got caught up in a wreck, so we really had a good chance at, bringing home, 4 cars in the top 10, but things happen.
Well, things happen, and I've got to feel a little bit that you're probably feeling relatively decent. I mean, this was a race of calamity, dare I say. We saw so many drivers off today. Does it feel like winning just to get through to the end?
Yeah, it's just we all. It's hard to say. I mean, like Pocono, we all know coming in, it was just going to be just a battle the whole time. Coming into this, I didn't think it was going to be cautions and whatnot. So I was hoping to get that win just to really seal it. But I mean, I can live with a P2 finish. I'm sad it got my teammate knocked out, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, it comes down to me, myself, and I really moving on to the next one.
Yeah, very much so. But, well, looking ahead to the next 2 rounds before we get to Homestead, you're obviously into the playoffs here, and the next round, you feel better about Richmond? Do you feel a little bit better about Michigan? Which one are you favoring?
I'm favoring Richmond just because Michigan's one of those tracks I've never really had good speed or good success at. I always end up in the wall or something. So definitely looking forward to Richmond more than Michigan, but we will see what happens. Again, Pocono didn't expect to finish P2, but we were there at the end, and that's what counts. So hopefully we can do the same thing at Michigan.
Well, hopefully you can as well. Wish you all the luck in the world, my friends, and a great run out here today.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, that was Wyatt Brackett there, Kenneth. And now it looks like you've been able to catch up with P3, Curtis Kelly.
Fast Banana, 3rd place car. That is Curtis Kelly. And Curtis, I know this is a great finish here from Pocono Raceway, and we'll talk about that. But obviously, playoff conversation and the biggest thing of note where, unfortunately, you do lose that tiebreaker. It looks like, as of right now, you will not advance to the next round of the Sunoco Cup Series playoff. So what's going through your head right now, and what was going through your head as you try to close off this race?
First off, congratulations to Garrett. Got no ill will there. It was a really fun fight watching how close that was all night, the points battle there. But it's a little reminiscent of the end of last season for me, getting knocked out at Charlotte Roval round. Just barely didn't get the win over Lawson for the winning in. And tonight, just out by a tiebreaker, which didn't even know what the tiebreaker was going to be, but didn't have a good round last week or good race last week. And that was kind of the battle I was facing all night, was coming out of that 16-ish point deficit, and got there with the stage points, but wasn't enough in the end. And really happy with how we ran the race. Didn't make any mistakes. Really got there at the end. I wish I didn't have the right front damage, that I was carrying pretty much all race and making the car a little tighter, but it's Pocono, and it was a crazy race, as everybody saw. But happy to bring it home. Happy to have a good finish, but a little bittersweet.
And no, certainly the finish in the playoffs wasn't the greatest, but it's not like we cannot give you credit at all for this race run tonight from Pocono, because you kept the car clean for a majority of it. You avoided a lot, and I mean a lot, of the danger around you. You, Wyatt Brackett, Garrett Brown, with a fight that was so fun to watch all the way through the end. The survival portion of it, talk us through that and how you were able to keep your head in the game despite how crazy it got in the last half of the race.
Oh, the survival was huge. I definitely raced this race a lot different than I think I've raced any league race before. There was a lot more self-preservation, while at the same time needing every inch I could get, given the deficit. But I knew as soon as I got damage, it was sayonara, because can't take any damage down a straightaway here at Pocono. It's a parachute. But I think at one point we were 4 or 5 wide into the tunnel turn, and I'd done 3 wide this week during officials, but not 4, and definitely got a little nervous through there about what was going to happen. Had to back out some, and then chaos still ensued from it. But a lot of self-preservation and just being smart about who you're around and what you're doing with them. It's a fun race. Glad the team all got there at the end. Well, not all got there at the end. Unfortunately, 2 of us didn't get there and got caught up in some of the chaos, but that's Pocono. It's a crazy race, as everybody saw in real life today too.
Yeah, 100% about it. 3rd place finish here at Pocono Raceway. I know you're not going to be a part of the playoffs when we come back next Sunday night at Richmond Raceway. Does this situation now change your approach for those last 3 races as you try to get a 2nd race win this year?
I mean, I was looking forward to the next races coming up. It's going to be a strong next round with Richmond and Michigan for me, I think. So look for me to be up front and fighting still. We're not going to be out there dooring people for wins or anything, but we're still going to race like we want to win. Playoffs matter, but so does the whole season, and it's a fun series. So going to race it out.
And determination still there as always. Curtis, on behalf of our entire broadcast crew, congratulations on the 3rd place finish. Unfortunately, you know you're not going to be a part of the next round, but a hell of a fight, and you didn't go out without a fight. So that was a lot of fun to watch you out on track tonight. Best of luck as you move forward to Richmond next week. But for now, congratulations on the 3rd place.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Curtis Kelly, driver of the 71, did all that he could to try to advance. Unfortunately, it was not good enough. That tiebreaker with him and Garrett Brown, who we have the opportunity to talk to now, DJ Clark.
We do indeed. Garrett Brown, you are in, my friend. Welcome to the round 8.
Thank you, sir. That was crazy. That was a tight battle, but it was fun. Everybody raced clean that was in that battle, so I appreciate it, though.
Well, talk to me what's going through your mind as you're coming in there. I mean, how much mental math are you doing here at this point? How much math is the team doing behind the scenes, or were you just driving it?
The team was kind of supporting me and doing the mental math, and we kept an eye on the broadcast. So we had the broadcast going on one window while we were going, and I didn't do too much math beyond that. I just knew Wyatt and Curtis and I were all, like, for the whole last stage, we were all within a position, 2 or 3 positions. So it was just a crazy race, and we all raced clean. So it was a blast, but, I was just trying to get every spot, and really I wanted to pass Richard Swavely and get one more spot, but I couldn't pull it off. He was quick. I had a chance right off the restart out of turn 1, but didn't get it done. And then I really wanted that one. I didn't know if I needed that spot or not, but in my head I really wanted to go get that one, and I didn't quite get it done, but luckily enough I snuck by anyway. So
Well, you were able to sneak on by, and now I've got to ask him, and that's the same question that we asked Wyatt Brackett not too long ago. We've got 2 more races coming up before we have the next round of cuts. Couldn't be more diametrically opposed in terms of Richmond and Michigan. Which one are you looking forward to more? Which one are you maybe thinking, this could be a little tricky?
Right. They're both real similar to me. I probably am looking forward to Michigan more. I've won at Michigan in this series. I've had good runs at Richmond. I haven't ever won there. And Richmond will be chaotic, but so will Michigan. Like Michigan, you could see racing like we saw tonight, where you're going to get maybe some 3 wide, some 4 wide, some potentially 5 wide if it gets real crazy. And I'm looking forward to that. I think Michigan, maybe I have a little bit, there's 2 grooves. Maybe I can find one groove that works better for me and get some momentum that way. But I'm going to put in some work at Richmond, and I'm not really dreading either one, luckily, but looking forward to Michigan a little more.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're looking forward to both of them, Garrett. Congratulations on the run here today. Congratulations on the round of 8. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
All right, there we go, Kenneth. That was your fifth place finisher and advancer on into the round of 8, Mr. Garrett Brown.
And other than Lawson Peel, he is the only member on his team to advance this far into the Sunoco Cup Series postseason, so you got to give the credit where credit's due. I mean, obviously to Curtis Kelly, what a fight that he put up to the end. If it comes down to a tiebreaker, you know both of those drivers are doing something right at the end of the race, and they brought us a dramatic end. But what a way to finish this one off. Lawson Peel, the defending champ, DJ is starting to now put his foot on the field and say, I was the champion for a reason. I'm going to go out there and start to win these races, regardless of whether it comes in my hand in the last corner or whether I dominate all the way to the checkered flag. Lawson Peel is becoming a force. At this late in the season, it might be very dangerous, but the 7 other drivers are going to make sure that he can go to Homestead without the championship rather than with a second straight.
Yeah, exactly. And I really like what Lawson was saying there about getting hot at the right time. Think back to a little bit of college basketball in March. That's always what you want to talk about there. Who's hot at the right moments? Well, that's exactly what Lawson's worried about here. And the fact that he is thinking that far ahead, that tells me more than anything about him and his mentality. He is the one to watch out for. He's the one with the target on his back.
And the track that we go to next, small track over in Richmond, Virginia. Well, earlier this season, he came home in 3rd. Now, the win went to Ross Harlow, but Peel led 32 laps from the 2nd place position. He ended up finishing inside the podium. So that 12 car has some good luck going forward, and the history has been favoring him as far as the tracks up ahead are concerned. Speaking of, like next week, we are going to Richmond Raceway. So we revisit the track that we saw in race number 3 in April. And we end up going to that one, DJ. We get to shorten things out from a big drafty 2.5-mile triangle to now a very short and intimate Richmond Raceway. What do you expect out of that one?
I think we're going to see elbows out racing. I think nobody's going to be messing around here at this point. With more and more on the line, I think we are going to see a very scruffy race, but I think we're going to see a clean race. I think today was a little bit of an outlier just in terms of how many elbows out, how many flared tempers we saw necessarily. I think Richmond's going to promote a little bit of a different style of racing where, well, to use the old adage, we're going to be rubbing a whole day long.
It's going to get physical, that's 100% sure. Richmond, next Sunday night, July 30th, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can find it right here in the same place, twitch.tv/Podium Esports. But that will do it for us in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Lawson Peel gets his 19th career Sunoco Cup Series win, his 5th of the season, and goes 2 in a row on the route to the round of 8. So for Dakota Curtis and all the admins at the Sunoco Cup Series for all their hard work, and a thank you to our team tonight, for all those at Podium Esports, Gary Sexton and John Theodore, and for Ryan Bauer, our producer tonight, Dougie Beard, our camera creator, and my colleague in the booth, DJ Clark. My name is Kenneth Bueno. So long from Pocono. Lawson Peel wins at the Tricky Triangle 200. We'll see you at Richmond next Sunday for the beginning of the round of 8.